Ladies, good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monroe Town Board meeting on Monday, April 3rd. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I know, it's just, I was going to stand in front of him.
Residents of the town of Monroe, guests, welcome to the April 3rd Town Board meeting. Please, would you silence your phones, and please pay particular attention to your exit signs directly behind you, to your left and right, as well as forward to your immediate right. That being said, we have a number of things. Hopefully we'll be able to move them along in a fairly quick manner. You've been waiting here for quite a while. We took care of some of the things that we needed to an executive, so we should be able to make this a little bit more abbreviated than usual. We have a approval of the minutes for February 27th and March 6th. We need motions accordingly.
Harley, I'm going to ask that you gentlemen got them late, so I'm going to ask that you roll them over because I'm positive that not everybody has gotten to review.
Okay. That being said, we need to, and I will do that in a moment, bear with me, for upcoming meetings, dates, and general announcements. We have obviously today we have the town board meeting at 7:30. Tomorrow will be the planning board at 7:30. The agenda is posted online. There's also a meeting called for 7:30 on Thursday, April 6th. There's a historical society meeting at the senior center at the lower level on Saturday at 9 a.m. Moving into Thursday, April 20th, we have the Conservation Commission meeting at 8 o'clock. Operation Clean Sweep, and that's always a great thing for the town. We have that throughout the day, as well as on the 24th, we have a scheduled town board meeting. On the 25th, the ZBA meeting will be meeting, the Ethics Board on the 26th, and if there's anything else that the public would like to the town board would like to make an announcement during the times, please feel free.
Yes. I would just like to announce with Clean Sweep, I will be putting an ad in the Photo News. It will be on 22 and our website. On the day of Clean Sweep in the town hall parking lot, we will be having electronic recycling and we will be having shredding. And I've also worked out with the highway superintendent that we're going to do Tire Day also, all in that one location. So we're going to try to do this yearly and kind of in conjunction with Earth Day Clean Sweep. So we will be putting advertisements out and times out within the week.
So you don't know what time that'll start yet?
It'll start 9 in the morning. I just don't have what time we're going to be ending it at.
It'll be on the website?
It'll be on the website, in the Photo News, on Channel 22. And we'll send a newsletter out to everybody who signed up for our newsletter.
Thank you.
John Shannon also has an announcement to make, unless you want me to do this, and that would be on the composting for the...
Yes, compost facility will start on 4/14 and end 5/13. So that'll be Fridays and Saturdays this year that we'll be doing that. So 4/14 it starts. It'll start at 8 o'clock in the morning and at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So please try to keep your brush tied the way it's supposed to be. It's all going to be on the website. No longer than 4 foot long, if possible. No grass clippings, logs, or large wood will be accepted. The compost facility has been cleaned up this year, and it really looks good down there, so I'm going to try to keep it that way, but as long as we can.
John, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I'll put you on the spot. Just a question. A person in the community just asked me, because he heard this was coming up, and he asked me, as he has asked me a couple times in past years, the reason, and I know there's a reason, the reason why grass clippings can't be brought is because...
It doesn't decompose the way leaves will.
Okay. There's a reason why you...
There is a reason.
Okay, just so the public hears that. Some people have asked me over the years. Thanks, John.
Okay. We also have from Smithlow Park, we have, please join us for our annual egg scramble that will be on April 8th at 1 p.m. sharp. As you can see, maybe you can try to do this at once. That's, it's being held by the park. participate in an indoor egg handout. The scramble categories are ages 3 through 4, 5 through 7, 8 through 10. Also then stay with us for a photo op with the Easter Bunny. It's always an exciting moment, and we don't want to miss that. And the Easter Bunny this year will be escorted, as in the past, by the Monroe Volunteer Ambulance Corps. So there's some prizes donated by Franz Hallmark, that's our acting supervisor, and we thank you for the donations, and giveaways and animals for the Monroe residents. So we thank the Smithlow Park as well as acting supervisor Cologne for his generosity. That being said, we have for the for Arbor Day. Arbor Day would be April 30th, and again at Smithlow Park. We have the Arbor Day celebration. They will be planting trees to reestablish the line of pine trees in the shades from the 1940 toboggan run, and that will be on April 30th at 1 p.m. And again in celebration of Arbor Day. And we hope that all those who are participating in the event, we thank them for their efforts and hope to see you there.
Harley,
Yes.
one quick issue, hopefully that the board can look at as far as a public announcement.
As far as what kind of-
Public announcement, for the upcoming dates and announcements. I was asked by the TMAC managers to ask the board every spring break or any kind of break in the school where people from college come home and the kids in this area are off from school. The town movie theater, TMAC, they show an extra showing on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. There will be just one extra movie a day, early. There's a lot of kids' movies there, but regardless of which, they always show an extra movie on spring break. And they were just asking again if the town board would give them the okay to show one extra movie on those 3 days, because all the kids will be home from school and from college, and the viewership attendance goes up in those days on spring break, and they do this every year, and it usually works out really well. So I was asked to make that announcement and ask the board if they were okay with having an extra movie on those 3 days.
Board members?
Any objection to it? Because like I said, it's not a new thing. They've been doing it the whole time, and it's always worked. A lot more people are around, they go to the movies.
Right, and I'll just say that without disclosing numbers, we literally have had an unparalleled level of success in the last couple of weeks over at TMAC. There literally have been thousands of residents that have brought their children. We've been fortunate that we had, back-to-back blockbusters, not only time-wise, but at the same time. Many of you brought to see your family Beauty and the Beast. This week is Power Rangers. We have Boss Baby. I mean, we really have.
Listen, I don't think there's a need to go through the movie schedule. If you're gonna make a motion there, Mr. McQuaid?
Make the motion. Okay.
Well, I just wanted to know that the public to know that there really is there's thousands of people that are voting. And that's
Okay.
really- There's no matter why have them, but since they are coming, perhaps let's have
I
it.
guess I'll make a motion, and I didn't know if I had to, but I'll make a motion. I make a motion that we allow the TMAC to hold one extra movie in the late afternoon on
I mean, they're already open,
Tuesday,
right?
no, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Because if they would show one extra showing, and because of the scheduling, they wouldn't have to bring extra employees in. They would start I think it's 3 hours early, the employees, and just do the whole shift, the same group. So it's not a big issue with scheduling employees or anything. It's just a little bit of longer day, 3 days next week. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Rick? Rick
I
doesn't
mean,
get it?
I just, if the management runs it,
Okay.
and it's, the people are gonna be there running.
Okay.
I don't wanna micromanage what they're doing.
Okay.
I mean, does anybody agree or disagree with me?
That's fine with
It's a
me.
management decision.
Yeah, that's it,
Okay.
Call to vote.
Thank you. I do want to point out one thing.
and that is.
I did see Logan 3 times and it was better each time.
Call to vote, please.
Aye.
All right, let's get it. Next,
Okay. Also,
we call the vote?
I didn't have a second.
Yeah, have a second. You're just gonna, if
Rick said just leave it alone.
If the management's gonna have it, let the management do it.
I go Mr. Dole second.
I'll withdraw my second.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next,
Just a quick shout out to Mayor Purcell. I understand that he was there over the weekend, participating in this very important kind of a movie commentary presented by the Ancient Order of Barbarians, and we want to thank him. I know that was one of the key people that spoke over the town of Monroe Art and Civic Center, and we thank him for supporting TMAC. That being said,
Hibernians, Holly.
Not barbarians.
Hibernians. That's what he said. He said it right, I was just redoing it. Hibernians.
Okay.
Ancient order.
Hibernians.
That's pretty easy.
I had some dental work there, so I never know what's going to come out next.
That's okay.
Good. There's also, and many of you are aware of this, we have this ongoing issue of what's going to happen with Monroe, and part of that equation is North Monroe annexation or.
I'd like to make a motion on the table,
I'll second that.
C.
Well,
You want to be very careful about this. I don't think it's a good idea for us to discuss it as a board.
Yep.
We have a motion to take on second. We gotta call a vote.
What was the motion we're taking?
the motion on the table, what is the motion on the table?
Tabling letter C, North Monroe Open Forum Series Public,
Okay.
item on the agenda.
Does that mean we're supporting private discussions?
Is that the one that says discussing the concept
The,
of Monroe
listen.
and what it means to the future of Monroe in our schools? Is that the one?
The,
Is that the one?
the motion is there, it's seconded, call the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Nay.
Okay, so there will not be any open forum to discuss
I'd like to
any
also,
of these
from old
items.
business, I'd like to strike the following, or table the following items. D, F, H,
Mike, we still have.
T, I'm sorry, K, M. Those are the ones I'd like to,
Studio 4 and 5?
What ones were those?
The TMAX Studio
Okay.
4 and 5.
D,
These should be separate.
H, excuse me, I'm talking. D,
So was
F,
so was
H.
H.
This is all from old business. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Folks, if you can't control yourself, we'll be happy to call the police.
Go ahead.
All right, so just,
Go ahead, I mean,
Just-
would not
just-
be complete without your threatening to call the police.
all right.
Well,
So
we're
again, once again,
adjust here
D,
so we
F,
can adjudicate
H,
things.
D, F, H, K, and M.
What about B and C?
It's here,
K-
executive session.
K and what, Mike?
That has to go to
D.
executive.
F,
K and what?
H,
You did K.
Wait.
K, and M.
So,
I'll second
which one
it.
of these again? Which one of these again? B? B, which one? Mr. Again, B?
D, F, H.
Wait, whoa, Mr. McGinn.
D,
B,
F, no, D is in David, F is in Frank, H is in Henry, K is in King, M is in Michael,
I second it.
table those.
Let me ask a question. Would it be possible for us to discuss M in executive?
That would be the
No,
Studio
I'm
4
not,
and 5
that's,
purchase of
that's Studio
equipment.
4 and 5.
That would be opening of the TMAX Studio 4 and 5. Is that what you would like tabled also?
Yes.
Mr. McGinn?
Yes.
So let me
But I don't know,
understand
can we talk about that in the back for a contract?
this. Wait, let's go through this. You would like tabled the finance department, these are the FOIL requests. You would like the.
No,
I didn't say.
Employee
I'm
application.
sorry.
Listen, Mr. Doles, just
Okay.
focus on the agenda, listen up for a second, listen
Well,
up.
I've never had
D is in
anybody
David,
want to basically
F is in
obliterate
Frank,
their
H is
benefit.
in Henry,
Right,
K is in King, M is in Michael.
so, where
It's 9 o'clock,
D as in
mark those off your agenda.
the
and call
employment
the vote.
applications, you want to cancel that one. Now, that's under old business, but that would be under executive, so do you want to cancel that under executive as well for later on, or is it just because it's under old business under D?
The motion stands as I read it.
And it was seconded.
So, the next one would be, F, is that what we're doing?
F.
F, that would be I want to make sure we're doing, the North Monroe, to set a public informational hearing, you want that canceled as well.
The motion stands as read.
He said D is in dumb, F is in fool, H is in Harley.
Gentlemen, can we exercise a bit more decorum?
He's on the phone.
Please,
Listen,
gentlemen,
we have a
please.
motion out
Hey,
there.
you wanna do it? You wanna address anything?
Is H, buy American, make American great discussion?
Wanna do it?
We got something that's doing something for America tonight?
Listen, the motion is there.
Senator Watkins.
It's seconded.
Thing at the state legislature, at the state
Motion is
legislature,
there.
state senate.
All right, listen, if there was material there, Jerry, we would discuss it, but there's nothing there.
What's very
The motion is there, it's seconded, call for vote, so we can move along with this meeting and get to the topics we need to cover.
In your opinion?
Well, listen,
No, it's a board opinion.
it's a board opinion.
No, but you're the one who read all the letters without telling anyone ahead of time you had a problem with anything.
Excuse me, no calling out the audience,
You called
please.
out earlier, you didn't have a
I'm
problem.
not
You
dealing.
can't deal with one person the same, different than the others like you guys like to do. You gotta treat everyone the same.
Knock yourself out.
Call to vote, please.
I say if it's, was a second?
No, we're still.
Was there a second?
This is
Yes, a
discussion.
second.
Yeah, but this is for discussion.
No, there is no discussion,
There is no discussion?
not a motion to table.
Thank you.
Those are the meeting rules.
Got out of it.
Call to vote.
I say nay. I mean, if you break them up individually, there's a few I'd agree with you on, but I can't say wipe out half the agenda.
Well,
That's not doing your job.
Well,
I get up early in the morning too, I'll stay here and do my job.
well, that's great.
I know it is, thank you.
Call to
I
vote.
say nay, I said nay.
All right, now,
Mr. Nugent, who's supposed to call the vote?
Aye.
Mr. Nugent?
Aye.
You're supposed to call the vote.
In the absence of me not calling the vote, what is the next step? Just asking, what is the law on if the supervisor does not call the vote? What is
It's
the
not a law,
mechanism?
your meeting rules would require the acting supervisor to take over until you return to doing what you're supposed to do.
Okay, then he can call it because I refused to. He can call this and then I will
He
take
was
over the
busy
rest.
calling the police on a citizen.
I'm sorry, I thought Tony always would tell me, I don't know. Whatever.
The whole table of those 5 items.
I already voted.
Call the question.
Call the vote.
Call the vote. Aye.
I'll vote again.
Aye.
No.
Mr. Cologne?
Aye.
Shocking.
Yes.
We have, the next one is item G, T-Mac.
No, but hold
Special
on,
orders.
hold on a minute, hold on. Just so I understand something,
We
because
gotta-
everyone's jumping around on the agenda.
We gotta.
We've never
When
had
are
this
we
happen.
gonna
This is
do, can I ask you a
unprecedented,
question?
that we've taken key issues that are, that should be discussed with the public and not discussed.
Okay, well, that's fine, but I just want to ask about the agenda.
What about
Mr.
resolution?
McGinn's motion was voted upon, but it jumped ahead of two things.
One.
There's a privilege of the floor, public comment part one, which I'm just saying, and then there was also PM special orders with the finance resolution, pay the bills and budgetary transfers amendments. Are we gonna do them before we go on?
We have to.
We need to,
Right.
we should have done this.
We should.
It's out of order. Point of order, remember that fellow used to say all the time, point of order?
Point of order.
Point of order.
Point of
So at
order.
least go back and do,
So privilege of the floor then.
Yes.
are we having two tonight?
Two.
Two?
So let's see how far we get through the meeting.
I'm just saying the agenda was written differently, that's why I'm bringing it up.
Let's do privilege of the floor now.
We have
Is that right?
Special orders.
That's fine with me.
Talk about what just happened. Okay.
But I have another issue.
Okay.
You said you were on John, you had to go before 2-1, do you want?
We're on privilege
All
of
right.
the floor.
All right, sorry, John.
First speaker.
Dan Burke,
Ladies and gentlemen, as the board has passed a resolution, please continue your comments to the matters that we have jurisdiction over, and please do not attempt to characterize or mischaracterize any comments directed at the board members or members of the public. Thank you.
Okay, Dan Burke, elder statesman. Good portfolio.
Here's a public, yeah, okay, thank you, George. Now, here's a public meeting where business of the town should be being discussed, and we have members of the board stifling discussion of what goes on. I would recommend that you continue the meeting until adjournment, and then upon adjournment, anybody who wants to leave can leave, and if there's any board members that want to discuss these items with the camera on, so that the public can hear what is being said and can see, the people at home can see what the discussion is about, because some of it's very important, and denying the future doesn't make the future go away. But I'm looking for a couple other things. I haven't heard anything about Bailey Farm. The road is still closed. The emergency vehicles can't get through there. I would like to hear I'd like to hear every meeting an update on where that's going. And there's no monthly report on the Move Basin Joint Operating and Maintenance Commission. It's a very important operation. The budget is I think it's over $1 million. I would like to hear something on at least once a month on where that's going, what you guys are doing about it, and if you're considering the suggestion I made 1.5 years ago that you get a private contractor to do it and save the sewer rates for people who have to pay a little bit too much for that. And I had asked last time out about the moratorium. You're going to allow the developers to go forward, which I really think you should, because they've already got final approval. Most of those projects that are mentioned, they've got final approval already. If they're going to court, I don't see why a judge isn't going to tell you that the moratorium doesn't take away their vested rights. But I asked the question, as those projects go forward, will they be subject to the new accessory apartment laws or the old accessory apartment law? Big difference, and I asked the question, I haven't gotten an answer on it. And I look forward to some of the board members staying late tonight and going over those meetings that nobody wants to talk about. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Adriana?
Thank you. Quiet, please.
Please.
Folks,
Call the cops on them. Keep it fair.
Again, this board not only lacks transparency, it squashes discussion. So much for transparency. Before our dog shelter is closed, I wanted to ask, what is the rate of adoption of dogs at Woodbury? All we have heard is that they don't stay at Woodbury long. Why is that? Is it because they are adopted, or is it because they are farmed out to another shelter? This is important to know this and document it before you uproot our dogs from the environment they know and the caregivers who are kind to them. If these dogs are displaced, there is a very good chance they will regress. It is unfortunately a fact that stray dogs who snap or growl out of fear don't usually have a good or long life. They are deemed unadoptable, then put in a cage with a red tag where they spend the rest of their lives, if they are lucky enough to have a rest of their lives. Please stop victimizing these innocent creatures for political reasons. I also want to ask if it is true that the comprehensive plan will include a zoning change from RR1 and RR3 to SR10, which would make for much higher density building. Or is this to be a surprise for us all later on? I also want to ask Councilman Cologne why he went to Steve Newhouse and suggested massive rezoning throughout Monroe to SR10. There are witnesses. Please tell us the truth. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Vivian?
Throw them out there laughing.
Who?
How come no one threatened to throw anyone out on the last burst of laughter from the back of the room? I don't know why it's not fair.
Yeah.
That's all.
Isn't that interesting?
I believe we've all, including myself, just recently told everybody in the room to be quiet. So
When was
if
that?
everyone could just
15
listen
minutes
to
ago?
it was first of all, you shouldn't be yelling out from the audience.
Somebody
Secondly-
earlier, you had no problem with it.
Secondly, I said, everybody, calm down, listen to do your public comment, and behave yourselves, all right? Vivian, please go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, dear.
This speech has been put on the back burner so many times that it's quite possibly a moot point and virtual afterthought after the fact. As a result, this message seems chronologically askew and ill-timed due to the progression of circumstances and events since. That said, as Charles Dickens said in his epic A Tale of Two Cities, this is the winter of despair. Times are uncertain for the animals right now, and the situation has suddenly taken on a new and greater urgency. Regarding the emergence of the shelter dogs' trust in humans, it has constituted a very difficult task on their part to achieve this positive metamorphosis, and has proven to be a long and arduous journey due to the fact that they have only known hurt, disappointment, and abandonment throughout their sad and pitiful existences. You see, animals, like many people, are creatures of habit and are thus resistant to change. This tendency being more prevalent in animals, of course, and on a more primal level naturally. The change from Monroe shelter to another shelter could and probably would be detrimental to the dogs. If closed, these dogs could revert to their erstwhile guarded behavior, which they used as a means of survival. Closure, bear in mind, and food for thought. Don't forsake the animals. Put the dogs first and politics second, not the other way around. Please be instrumental in affecting this winter of despair, in affecting this winter of despair and turn it into a spring of hope for the dogs at the Monroe shelter. From what I know about
Vivian,
the
You have to speak into the mic.
Please, could you speak up to the microphone?
30 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John Allegro?
Thank you, John Allegro, 288 Seven Springs Mountain Road, Monroe. To the board, I think the idea of a forum, public forum regarding North Monroe, proposed North Monroe, is a good idea. However, Supervisor Doles is exactly the wrong person to be in charge of such a hearing or such a forum. Mr. Doles has taken
We
to...
agree.
No interrupting, please, that's
I
not part of
just
the
was
meeting
overwhelmed
rules.
because I agree with him. It should be preserved its value. I agree with
Mr.
you.
Doles has taken to social media, the photo news, in order to terrorize the sensibilities of town residents and school district.
Mr.
Would you be polite?
Are you going to backhand me?
Mr.
What did she say?
Hey, folks, Mr. Allegro, can you continue and just ignore her, please?
Mr. Allegro, again, part of the rules here are that there will be no attacks.
Then enforce them, sir.
Again,
Enforce the rules.
we are here.
You are the supervisor, sir.
Mr.
Enforce the rules, sir.
Please lower your voice.
No, you enforce your rules, sir.
Mr. Allegro, we're asking
Mr.
you to
Doles,
stay on
enforce
issues
your
that
rules.
are related to the
Mr. Allegro,
town business.
please continue.
Anything that deals with
Mr. Allegro.
Mr. Doles has taken to social media
Mr.
and the photo news in order to terrorize the sensibilities of town residents and school district parents.
Just like I've
He has threatened county legislators
Mr.
with apocalypse. Will you stop interrupting me?
Mr. Allegro.
Will you stop interrupting me?
Mr. Allegro, in all fairness.
In all fairness, stop interrupting me,
Apply the
sir.
rules evenly.
Mr. Doles,
Mr.
stop interrupting me.
Oh, my God.
Mr. Allegro, we're going to.
Mr. Doles has threatened county legislators with apocalyptic sanctuary city scenarios. He has used Twitter with the identity of Monroe supervisor to smear the reputations of local citizens, claiming that they seek
Mr. Allegro.
Do not turn the camera off.
Mr. Allegro, you,
Stop,
Mr.
please stop shouting.
Mr.
Cut his mic.
We're gonna go off the record.
No, we're not.
Mr. Allegro,
No, I'm not leaving until you turn the cameras back on.
we're gonna go off the
We're
record.
gonna be on the
Take a
record.
break for a second.
We're gonna take
I can't
we have our,
According to your rules, Mr. Doles, I'm entitled to speak.
we're gonna take a 5-minute recess.
Will the board please follow their own rules and remove this man
We need a motion so that we.
and take over the meeting from this guy?
They've been called on, and we're going to wind up discussing the reasons for their presence and see what we can do to be able to maintain order for this meeting. We need a second for this.
I believe there's no reason to second it. He's a member of the public, he's allowed to speak, and you've got to vote on an adjournment.
Well, now we're going to have vote on adjournment. The New York State troopers are here. They responded to a call, and I'm going to insist that we speak to them based on the call and to ask them to remain here so that we can find out what's going on, why they were called, as well as making sure that we ensure that the safeguards that we put in a couple of weeks ago that we all voted on, that we make sure that they're applied evenly. So that being said, George, we're going to suspend right now. Further hearing. Okay. Troopers. Okay.
I believe the town board is supposed to vote on adjournments. You can't just adjourn without there being a
There's
vote.
an issue that came up which has to do.
Well, listen, you got to vote on it. You can't adjourn without voting. If you'd like to go back and speak to them, you can go back and speak to them. Let the speaker speak.
The rules require a motion by one of the board members and a vote to take a recess.
I'll make a motion, we take a brief recess.
Second.
Aye.
Hey,
The speaker will be given his time to speak when the recess is over.
Troopers, could you, no, we'll talk to them in the back.
go speak to them in the back.
Troopers, could we meet?
Make a motion, we come back into session.
I'll second.
Aye.
Aye.
That's, give me a moment, I just want to correct any resolutions that we made.
Okay, do we have 3 ayes? Let's continue.
Yeah, three ayes.
Let's continue.
Right, bear with me, I just want to pull up
We have 3 ayes, let's continue.
the resolution regarding, unless you have it, do you have the resolution for what the board agreed to in terms of behavior? Mr. Nugent, do you have that?
I don't have a printed copy, but I have it.
Okay. Could you read the part in terms of what we have agreed to with regards to the characterizations, the statements that will be considered appropriate and not appropriate? Or if you can send it to me, otherwise just give me a moment and I'll wind up putting it up myself.
If you don't mind, I'll send it to you because it's kind of lengthy. I'm not sure exactly what part you're talking about.
Okay.
All right, can we continue the I make a motion that we continue the public comment.
Why don't we do that?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'd like to respectfully request that the clock be reset to 3 minutes for the sake of this being on the record and continuity of the record.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Call the question.
Give him that. Aye.
Just to help restore the 3 minutes.
Okay.
Go ahead, John.
As I was saying, a North Monroe Forum is a good idea. Supervisor Doles is exactly not the right person who should be in charge of it. Mr. Doles has taken to social media and the photo news comment section to terrorize the sensibilities of town residents and school district parents. He's threatened county legislators with apocalyptic sanctuary city scenarios.
Excuse me.
He's used Twitter.
I need to.
Isn't there a rule about interrupting a speaker? I think it's Rule 26.
Again,
Look
Stop
up the rules and then
interrupting.
look up the rules and then
We're going to.
Stop interrupting, Mr. Dawes.
look up the rules and then you can do it.
Do you want me to read the rules instead of my comment? I can read all.
Keep going.
No, please.
Go ahead, Mr. Lawyer, continue.
Mr. Doles has used Twitter with the identity of Monroe supervisor to smear the reputations of local citizens, claiming that they seek to ruin the school district into the next East Ramapo, when they have nothing but the best intentions of the town in mind. Mr. Doles has zero jurisdiction over the school district. Mr. Doles has zero jurisdiction over the process, the New York State law that calls for the process of alteration of the boundaries of a town. Of course, the residents of our town who would be affected by the formation of a new town should be heard. I ask the board to resolve to leave any of those forums or hearings up to the governing bodies that have jurisdiction over their respective ends of the process, the school board and the county legislature. I also ask, and I want to say before this, that I read your Twitter, Mr. Doles, and like I said earlier, I live at 288 Seven Springs Mountain Road in Monroe, New York, and through your Twitter, you have accused me of somehow cashing in on new zoning that I don't think even exists yet, stating that my home is rezoned to 4 lots on 1 acre. I think you should read the comprehensive plan draft that was put before you try to ruin somebody's reputation. I also ask that the board resolve to condemn the behavior of Mr. Doles with regard to his weaponized use of social media and the supervisor of Monroe identity, and that the board also enact a comprehensive townwide town employee and town board member elected official social media policy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Send me that email yet?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you.
The supervisor, I got it.
Good evening. Be very brief. I know it's at the beginning of the development stage is the discussion between North Monroe, and I understand it's a politically, very politically controversial issue. But politics should not be the driving force. So I just want a quick answer, maybe sometime tonight. Why does this keep getting tabled? I want to hear some discussions about it. I know it's politically controversial. Let's have some discussions. And just a quick aside here. And I've been coming to these meetings for a while, and it does get pretty raw on both sides of the table. What just took place this evening with the state police escorting just for discussions in the back, my humble opinion, was wrong.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
I'll address your questions.
We're gonna do that afterwards.
Good evening. Mike Holstein, resident of the town and the village. Before I get into what I think about a comprehensive plan meeting, I'll bring up some other topics. I'd like to know why there was no stenographer at the last public meeting. I also want to know, and I've asked this before, what is happening to protect the old town hall. I haven't seen anything being done to remedy the situation. I would like to know where the car is that was supposed to be leased for the building inspector / code enforcement officer. He still has the piece of junk. Now, unfortunately, I have an opinion on the open forum. I believe that that would be the best way for the people of the town of Monroe to be given an opportunity to express their feelings on this subject. The appointment of a non-elected official to act as a moderator will hopefully prevent a one-sided conversation. The forum will afford all residents the opportunity to discuss all of the impacts of the new comprehensive plan. If any county officials attend, we will be able to find out why none of our elected officials are represented on the Town of North Monroe Committee, chaired by Mr. Brescia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
Ward Brown?
Ward Broward, private citizen, from Monroe. First point of interest to John Turney. The grass clipping, that question was asked to you. There's a carbon to nitrogen cycle. If you don't violate that, they decompose very rapidly. It's 3 parts grass, 5 parts carbon, which would be leaves. If you mix it like that, shouldn't have any problems.
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
He's been doing that a while.
I know.
Even got summoned for it. I'm sorry. Called on it. Or was it summoned?
Thank you. Okay, Councilman last time said in regards to the new accessory apartment law that it's 10 times stronger than the original. He's probably 100% correct on that, because the original one had 0 enforcement capability, and 10 times 0 is still 0. And the other problem with it, it's infinitely worse than the original, in that there's 2 things. That's a lot of things, but it frees up the 446 units that were in limbo because they could have grandfathered themselves in, so now it's freed up so that they can progress, takes that obstacle out of the way, which means that 446 units are being marketed to a topic of supersized families, which has not been secret, and I haven't seen anywhere in the comprehensive plan where they address the discrepancy between the supersized family and so-called standard-sized family. Needs to be addressed. The other thing is, it's infinitely worse in that it now takes about 90, I'm just conservative, 96% of the existing homes in the RR1 and RR3 now qualify. You don't have to live in the town 10 years, you can be in the town 10 nanoseconds and you qualify. So that means that's a huge market for the supersized families to come in. Problem is, they were set up for standard-sized families, so you increase the demand on water and sewer by 220%, roughly. Then, the compounded felony, they can apply for the accessory apartment laws. So that means you can increase the demand over the original, 322%, 400, you name it. A McMansion can accommodate probably 4 supersized families. The ramifications of this law are enormous. Thank you. And they're not good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you. Next speaker.
That's all.
Actually, Judge Milligram, would you like to come up, please?
Is that a board vote? Is that a board vote?
No, he's a member of the public. He can speak.
I think it was an invitation, actually, not in writing, verbal. Good evening, thank you.
Judge, how are you?
Just wanted to bring to the board's attention, as you are aware, we have been working with a shorter staff than we had when I first took office. And our clerks have been working very diligently and working real hard. They've been getting overtime for it appropriately so. One of the issues that we're concerned with is, among other things, coverage at times. So after a lengthy discussion with our clerks and our court personnel, I'm proposing on behalf of the town court that we open up a position, initially part-time, as a part-time court clerk to cover the hours when staffing is needed, including the lunch period of 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, so that there will always be somebody available in the court when people do come in, and they do come in at their lunch hour. I believe after speaking with Mr. Martin, the budget money is available, especially with the certain positions that have been eliminated. And that's the one point I want to bring. I don't know if there's a matter of resolution required. I don't know how the procedure would be, so I'll defer that to counsel and the gentleman. But I wanted to make you aware that we've been wrestling with this, and we finally came to the realization that this is what we think is the right thing to do.
If I may comment?
Sure.
I happen to agree with the judge 100%. I have talked to to Ms. Diaz about this, and I guess a couple months ago now it was. And I did mention, because she, at the time, said that they were handling it with the overtime. And I was worried, and I did bring it to her attention, that if someone was to be ill or get sick, God forbid, or have family matters to take care of, or maybe choose someday to retire, that we wouldn't have a trained person in there. So I wholeheartedly agree with the move you're suggesting, and I think it's, if anything, because they've been working very hard there, it's probably overdue, because those ladies have been really working very hard to keep those hours.
And as I think anyone would attest, they do a great job.
Oh, absolutely.
I would suggest, however, if I may, I don't know if the county has a civil service list for the position, let alone one for part-time, but to avoid any potential issues or appearances of impropriety, I would suggest that if the county has such a list, that would be where we first look for people.
That was gonna be what I was just gonna say. I really think it's a good idea. It's obviously something that's needed, so long as that person is either currently holds a civil service title as clerk, court clerk, or is hired off an active civil service list.
I also would probably expand that, given the preference for somebody more local, that if there's a retired person who retired off the list with that title, that they may be eligible for consideration also.
I think, again, that'd be fine, because they still have the civil service title.
Absolutely.
Steve, is this 20 hours you're looking to have a 20-hour permission?
Approximately, yes.
Position?
Whatever the number of hours, that would not trigger them receiving any benefits we'd have to give, such as health or those other issues.
Okay. And
20,
this would,
I believe 20, as Peter just said to me, 20 is the number approximately.
and this would probably cut down a little bit on the overtime
It
hours?
will cut down on the overtime.
Okay.
correct. And it's needed. I mean, it's, we've been working as hard as we can and trying to keep it going as hard as we can, but it's needed.
Council, do we need to make a motion on this, or is it within this budget, or what's the proper?
Financial status of the budget?
Mr. Warren, are we within budget?
Well, the way I understand this, it would be partly funded from the overtime line. And also that right now we have court attendants that are there during the day, and that process might be changed so that there'd be a clerk instead of a court attendant.
That's one of the things we're discussing.
That's what you're discussing, correct?
Correct. We've also eliminated 2 court attendant positions, so we also
Right.
have those lines available as well. So my understanding is that the funds are available for the position.
I think it will fit within the budget, that's correct, as it stands, yes.
That's good news.
Yeah, I mean, if the money's there, I haven't been given any information on the issue other than what I'm hearing tonight,
Yeah,
so I don't know.
I would say that if the judge and the clerks want to get the civil service list from the county, we can have our HR person get you the list, see what the current status on the list is. You, as in the past, do interviews, I guess, with another member of your team, or?
Judge Winchester, Terry,
Yeah,
and myself in all
yeah,
likelihood.
yeah.
I'd also, is Councilman McGinn still the court liaison?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd also invite Councilman McGinn to participate if he can on behalf of the town board for the court, because again, the technical hiring, I believe, is done by the town with the advice and consent of the court. I believe that's the way.
That's the way it works.
Do you want to place an ad? I guess the best thing to do?
Why don't we get the list first? And then
Get the list from Leah tomorrow. You want me to ask Leah tomorrow, or do you want to go through that?
If you could contact.
I'll
me, that'd be great.
call Leah tomorrow and tell her to start the process, right?
And we'll start, and again, we'll go from there.
Sounds great.
Does it need to be advertised?
No, actually, you don't need a motion to get the list, they can
Okay,
just get the list.
All right. Thank you very much. And again, I apologize, when the troopers arrived, I had to step out of the room just to avoid any appearance of being conflicted if anything did occur.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for the attorney, our town attorney.
Which attorney?
Does a,
Thank you for recognizing me as such.
does a position have to be created before you contact civil service to ask for the list?
The position would need to exist in the town.
It doesn't currently, so.
I think we have that in our municipal job listing. We have a part-time clerk position that's
Okay, so
existing.
it doesn't need, it just
Or
needs
two,
to be.
two, yeah.
All right,
It's there.
that's where it has to be, but not in the budget.
Right.
Right, you have to have a civil service
Position,
title in the town,
town
and then
position.
you
Okay,
request
thanks.
for the list for that position.
Okay, so there's no reason they can't request the list.
Right.
Okay, good, okay.
Councilman McQuaid, thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Judge. Comments from the audience, from the public? Sure.
Yeah, do we want to do a little quick review, so we don't have a million at the end? Yeah, I think Dan Burke brought up a great comment about moving up private contractor. I think that maybe at the next meeting, maybe the supervisor, with input from Mr. McGinn and Mr. Cologne, maybe we could even, everyone's so busy, that's why it probably hasn't been done, it's not an oversight, I wouldn't think. Maybe we could have someone look to getting some situation where we can look at a private contractor for the Mudna, because it's been talked about for years. I myself brought it up at the Mudna when I was a member of that board. Bailey Farm Road, yeah, it's way overdue. Peter and I have talked about that, and I think we've got to keep continuing to look into that. I also want to say that one of the constituents was talking about no transparency. I've had an issue with some of the transparency issues. Now, sometimes people complain if someone says too much, okay, I get it, but sometimes a lot of people complain when they don't hear anything about what's going on. John brought up said North Monroe was a good idea. I agree with him. We don't normally agree that much, but I agree with him. I brought up as well previous meetings, thinking it's a good idea to push forward. And if you don't want Harley to be at the meetings, and he doesn't either, if no one else can do it, I would do it if possible, because I think, and I've said publicly, I put my position out there already, whether it is some kind of annexation with a redraw of the school districts, or if it's a North Monroe with a redraw of the school districts, as a longtime citizen of this town with children in the school district, I think it's the best thing for the town. I don't care about the politics. I also know, because I talked with our comptroller, there's tax issues involved. I think it's worth changing the town for the better for the future. Even if we have to get in a position with North Monroe, we might lose some tax revenue. With the annexation, we won't. But, we got to figure out which way is best for the town as a future thing, not just this year. And as far as I'm on the committee to redraw the school boundaries, I made it known to the school board, people that are at the meeting several times, to do that. I know John says he reads Harley's Twitter. I don't, for whatever that's worth. But I think you got to be very careful when you talk about elected media policy when there's First Amendment rights, different free speech issues, which I'm sure John would be the first one to claim on his behalf, rightfully so. I think that other people on the board would then claim the same thing. Mr. LaPola, you're right. I think we shouldn't table the North Monroe thing. I think we should talk about it, be out in the open, because I do know there's people that are not elected officials that are talking with elected officials at the county level about this. And us 5 board members, to my knowledge, none of us, to my knowledge, have gotten a chance to talk personally with have a meeting with the county legislature. I think it's not only insulting, even if you look at it from different groups or divided boards, we could have the whole board have a public meeting with the county legislature. I think that the problem is that town board members have not been given the respect by the county legislature or other people in the government to do so. In the last few, obviously we all agree with Steve Milgram, the judge, on his issue. Ward, thank you for the grass suggestion. I do agree with you on the accessory apartment law. As I said with Mike and Tony and Rick the other meeting, it is better than the old one, but 10 times 0 still equals 0. And I think the gentleman tried to tighten it up. I give him credit. But there's so many holes in that thing, you could drive a gigantic moving truck through it, and there's no one's going to check on it. And that, you have a law that you can't enforce, and Mike being a retired NYPD guy, he's an enforcement guy, he knows that there's certain laws that are unenforceable. You can have them on the books for centuries, and you can't enforce them. Sometimes rightfully so, other times you wish you could. And the lease cars for the building officials, I don't know where that wound up. And I do think that, as Mike said, I've seen, and I talked to one of the county legislators the last thing, at the supermarket, I didn't even know about it. He said, hey, did you know we had a meeting with a couple of members of the public in Monroe? I said, I was unaware of that. Then it came out in the paper. But I think it's unfair for me to have to hear from the county legislator after the fact that members of the public are having meetings deciding future stuff for Monroe, and the public officials have, to my knowledge, unless someone wants to offer up they knew about it ahead of time, that we didn't have any say in this or any opportunity to be involved. It's absolutely ridiculous. When I'm in the public sphere, on the other side of the mic, I don't expect to be brought into that kind of discussion ahead of the public officials. Whether I like those officials or not, they're due that kind of respect. Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, it appears as though, first, let me just preface this with, I spoke with members of the media today, in particular the photo news, and one of the things that I got out there was, the first thing was that this call for a meeting, which I had alerted or notified the members of the media as well as the county legislators and other elected officials and appointed officials. One of the things that I said was that this is something which should be governed with non-for-profits. I particularly cited Preserve Hudson Valley as a non-for-profit. Not United Monroe, which is a political party, not the Democrats, not the Republicans, but Preserve Hudson Valley, or any non-for-profit that felt as though they could wind up being able to act as moderators in a fair and reasonable way. I even mentioned that perhaps Assemblyman Bravenek or perhaps Assemblyman Skoufis, these are representatives up in Albany, if they would like to be the moderators, but I felt we need moderators. This is our destiny. This is not someone up in Goshen that has never been here. I go over and over again with the elected officials, and I will post these emails so the public can see them, and I thank Mr. Allegro for bringing my emails to the forefront of the discussion, because now the public will see exactly what the other town board members are doing to be able to enjoin the county legislature publicly, openly, with their emails, what they're doing privately with county executives or other members of the county legislature, and all will come out, because that's what open government is about. This afternoon, I wrote to the, and I'm going to use this in defense of Mr. Allegro, and I wrote very simply to the county legislators: the public and media officials are invited to attend the Monroe Town meeting this evening. I will introduce the discussion and will seek a resolution for a series of 4 open forums to discuss the conceptual idea of North Monroe. And please let us know that many people have endorsed this. Many members of the board have. I have. I know that Councilman Riccolone has said so. I believe Jerry McQuaid has said so. I haven't heard from the other 2 gentlemen, as well as political parties and United Monroe. Now, yes, there were conditions, extremely, in the eyes of probably some, in the minds of some, very strict ones. One being that that it be restricted only to the village of North Monroe to become the town of North Monroe, to become the town of North Monroe. But as we know, compromise is a valuable tool, and people will wind up saying one thing today and realizing that they have to do another thing tomorrow.
30 seconds.
No, I'm not bound by that. I will introduce the discussion and will seek a resolution for a series of 4 open forums. Unlike the way Orange County meets privately and without the media or citizens knowing what is going on, these forums will be held in public and involve all the stakeholders ensuring Monroe's future. Additionally, you'll have a chance to ask our elected officials how they got the planner, Bonnie Franzone, to agree to rezone the area bordering KJ Rural to going to SR10 to higher density. There are other issues. You may also want to ask the town board members if Steve Newhouse met and showed plans to the Orange County. You may also want to ask members of the board if they met with Steve Newhouse and showed them plans to the Orange County exec for zoning changes, which in the opinion of the county exec would lead to East Roundabout. And this was his concern, because this was a conversation that we had. Jerry McQuaid was there, Mr. Bravenek was there, one of the heads of the Republican Party were there, as well as someone from Curious Joel, where the concept was, where it was discussed in detail, that this plan, this changing of SR10 would lead to East Ramapo. I write, Monroe has limited water and sewer. We get little of any help from the county. But we're not going to watch as Monroe is sold off, rezoned, and our schools districts transformed without the public knowing what the hell is going on between their elected officials, appointed officials, the local political operatives, and the area developers. Will Monroe prevent East Ramapo? Will annexation be the best solution? Or will it continue lawsuits all the way to the United States? The only way to be resolved, in my opinion, the stupidity and self-serving, political self-serving, which my town has been thrown into.
All right,
Let's make a motion.
bear with me. There's a 3-minute time limit.
You're at 4:20.
I will, in all due respect, I'm going to ask.
I make a motion.
I'm going to ask.
I make a motion that the supervisor abide by the meeting rules.
That the District Attorney Hoovler and the sheriff is notified of the alleged threats. Because I can't for the life of me understand why John Allegro is being told by the county legislators that I've threatened them, and yet they haven't notified anyone other than John Allegro about these threats. It seems as though the sheriff or the DA, the Circuit Attorney Hooper, they would want to know what these threats are. Why are they targeting to John Allegro and only John Allegro? So there's my comment.
3-minute
So
rule,
let's get
our meeting rules.
the
Mr.
district
Jones.
attorney
You gotta
and the
abide by
sheriff
the meeting
people.
rules.
Again, let's get the
If you fail
sheriff.
to abide by
because
the
there's
meeting
an
rules,
allegation of
the acting
illegality.
supervisor will take over
Threats
the
against
meeting.
the county legislature.
I make a motion that the acting supervisor take over the meeting. Anybody second?
I'll second it.
No.
Are you
Call
done?
the question.
Well, are we gonna continue with the meeting, Mr. Dawes,
Yes.
instead of going on?
Absolutely.
I just have
But
one name.
There's other members here that need to
One
speak.
second, I mean, you're going off on a tangent again.
Well,
Let's stick to the issue.
it might end the issue.
What will
I
it?
have a name for you. I think a lot of people on the board might agree, because they've worked with him.
Well, we're going on
State
and on.
Senator Bill Larkin.
Yes.
He is probably the most experienced guy that's dealt with this area. He's dealt with KJ, he's dealt with Monroe. Tony and John dealt with him over a grant issue recently, very successfully. And he might be someone even more experienced than the two assemblymen Harley mentioned, that we can maybe contact his office and see if he would like to get involved, because he's got the most experience.
Or preserve Hudson Valley.
Well, you know, I'm just saying, no, if you're gonna talk about someone that everyone, the man is well-liked and well-respected, I think, across political lines. And maybe he's someone who would wanna host a forum on that, because he directly has dealt with KJ for what, decades now? So that's someone.
Well, we table
Yeah.
We tabled this not so you could use this in public, you know, as part of the public discussion to bring this up. That's why it was tabled, so it wouldn't be used for this purpose.
You can't stop the member from answering the public.
Yeah, I know, but he's gone over his time, and so have
Okay,
you.
you're over your time.
And I
just
spoke
want
to
them to
Mr.
help
Cardone.
out.
Mr. Cardone
I'm
hasn't
trying to
spoken
help
either
out.
as I.
If
So,
there-
you know, we deserve the right to speak, and we have to continue this meeting. It's almost 10 o'clock. So, I have a motion.
And a second.
Mr. Doles, are you done? And if that's the case,
I'm
Mr.
done.
Cardone will continue. Do you have any public comment?
And you, okay.
So, and
So,
I have no response to the public comment either.
okay.
I withdraw the motion to,
I'll withdraw the motion.
Financial orders?
Going back now to the financial laws, we need a resolution to pay the bills.
I'll make a motion to
I'll
pay the
second.
bills.
Second for discussion, two questions.
Yes.
In that lighting bill, it was hard to ascertain which lights were, which account number. Is there any way we can get a breakdown of that? Because listed on there it said Dutch Hollow Light,
That's correct.
right, that's the one in Warwick.
That's the one in Warwick
Okay. So is it,
that we've been paying for 30 years.
no, but I'd like to get a breakdown of which account pertains to which specific light.
Oh, you mean, you'd like to have a description of the account number so that you could figure out, like, you know, SW14, SW12,
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's in the, okay,
Yeah, but it doesn't correlate on the back of the sheet.
yeah, I got you.
All right. What is Bus Hive? What service do they provide?
Biz Hub. Biz Hub?
No, Bus Hive. BUSHIVE.
Who turned that in?
Dial Bus, I believe.
Oh, that's her, she has a program that tracks the buses.
Yeah, they have
Like a GPS type?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
They're in every bus.
What's that?
They're in every bus as far as I know.
Yeah,
It's on every
okay.
bus.
I just didn't know what it was.
No, that's okay.
And 2 meetings ago, I had asked what the status was with the fixed asset report, and you said you spoke to the people. I asked you on March 20th,
Yep.
and you said you spoke to the people, to somebody there, you didn't clarify who.
Okay, it's in process with them, and you'll be the second or third person to know when it's coming,
Okay,
because
who did
I'm
you,
sure you'll be copied on the email from,
who did you speak with there?
I spoke to our representative. Who's handling it?
What's the name?
I think the name is Billy Joel, I have to get it out for you.
Sure it's not Babe Ruth?
I mean, so what, you wanna call her up and verify that I told you the truth?
So, is it Christine?
No, it's Billy Joe.
Billy Joe?
Yeah, she is our representative now that handles all changes going forward on or the first line of contact.
And what company is that with?
ICA.
And the last time you had a conversation with her?
I was on the phone with her last week to ask her how things were going. And she said they're working on it.
Okay, because that's not the message I got.
From whom?
I have an understanding that they're waiting for you to make the change.
That is not true. And she has it. I sent it to her.
Do you know Billy Joe's last name?
I don't remember right now.
Is the last fixed asset the Tallahassee Bridge?
Yeah, maybe, might be, you never know.
There's a liability issue with that one.
Yes. All right, that's all I have.
You pay the bill?
Well, the motion's on the floor. Any other discussion?
Any other discussion? That being said, motion.
We did it already, we did that. Aye.
Aye. And there was no bills added since Saturday, correct?
That is correct.
Do we have any bills for the court? I just don't remember. Offhand, do we have any bills for the court? OCA grant or anything like that, which needs to be reviewed with only because it's a little bit different than the traditional bills that we have, Mr. Martin?
Do I?
Yeah, no. Are there any bills that we should know about? Again, outside of our ordinary scope, bills for court administration grants or anything like that?
No, the only thing that's out there is the court officer has requested a quote to have some cameras added to their security system, and that would be covered through the JCAP grant. And so I think that there's no, and it's in the budget, so there's no reason not to proceed with that.
Okay.
I've got a budgetary question to the board. Would it be okay with the board if I set up something to help our budget? I brought it up at one other meeting. I talked to the vendor again. Would it be okay to have me set a future meeting in maybe the end of April or May for someone to come, for two vendors? One would be to talk about street lighting, like Tony's talking about, for upgrading the system, maybe even having a management contract, green friendly lighting with a much less wattage per head and the same brightness. And the other thing would be to bring another vendor in to talk about employee management, along with time clock issues, biometric system for the punch outs that we have, because right now we're on an really old-fashioned system. Would it be okay if I bring someone in to talk to the board in the future? Again?
Hey, that vendor for the streetlights?
Yeah.
I know we discussed that, and I'm fine with it, I think it's a good idea.
Okay,
Do you,
I'll bring someone down.
is that, are they gonna switch over, why are you still talking? Is that like switch over to LED? Is that
Yeah,
what it is?
and some other issues too, he can help us with. And he was more than eager to come see us because the laws passed last fall make it more advantageous for both the town and the vendor to do so now.
The town might want to give a call over to Woodbury, because Woodbury is right now going through the process of doing the LED. And I did go to the Association of Towns dinner 2 months ago on this topic. So,
Yeah. It's a hot topic now because of the law.
if you'd like, I'll reach out to the town clerk and get any information I can.
Okay, I'll work with you on that,
And
Mary.
I'll-
Thank you, Mary. Yeah, okay, just something to think about, having a few presentations for things that might help the town. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Said, before we move into old business, I just, again, Mr. Martin and Mr. Nugent, I just want you to know that I sent you earlier this, last week, a request. There was a gentleman, his name is Klaus Larson, had some questions that needed to be answered. They really are within the scope of what you know best. If you could take time and be able to address those, and this way we can coordinate the response so that they are as adequate and complete as possible. They deal directly with the solar farm, as well as whether or not there's an existing contract, and that's obviously a legal question. If not, then we need to be able to suspend any business we're doing with them, but it was a concern that the gentleman had, and I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of it, and that we're going to move forward with trying to answer those questions. So we thank them for their input, but we will be getting back. That being said, we have the issue that's Greenfield property issue on Smith Club Park. That'll be done in executive. Where do we stand here? What?
Do you want to do the 3 executives at the end?
Yeah. The saltwater well discussion. B, obviously that has to deal with saltwater wells. The employee overtime and employment applications. The North Monroe, obviously that is not going in. The Finance Department for request not going in. TMAC approval to place.
I don't believe the E was tabled there, Mr. Dole.
E, Finance Department, the FOIL requests. That seems to be a little bit more pressing than North Monroe, so let's talk about that.
I asked for that to be on the agenda. I know various people have had issues getting FOIL requests pertaining to any finance issues. I did speak to Mary Ellen a little, and if possible, I would like to pass a resolution this evening that any FOIL requests pertaining to Finance Department paperwork be supplied by the Finance Department. So I want to make that motion.
So Tony, what does that entail, Tony?
I'll second the discussion.
What does that entail, Tony? Explain that, I'm sorry.
But they do come
Do
to
you
the
want me to pay
finance
for it?
department.
Wait.
I just want to understand what you said. I just want to clarify what you were saying, if you would.
Any foils pertaining to the Finance Department come out of the Finance Department and be the responsibility of the person in charge of finances to get them, rather than Mary Ellen constantly pestering Peter to get FOIL requests from him.
I don't know that we're constantly being pestered.
We didn't, please don't interrupt, Jerry and I are having a
So
conversation.
once he gets,
About me, so.
yeah, I'm sorry. So in other words, once Mary Ellen and I just would pass it on to the Finance Department, the comptroller, from that point on, he would handle it.
Yes.
And he would be able then to talk to the lawyer too about it.
The way it works.
No, I'm just saying, he would have access to the lawyer.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I mean,
Okay.
typically, financial documents are not,
Now, as far as those
Usually don't have
legal
any
questions
exemptions.
Peter might have, right?
yeah, if he has a question, that's
Okay.
fine. I mean, typically, financial, as long as it's not something in draft, would be disclosed.
Can I chime in here? The whole reason why this has been brought up is I have been very frustrated, and Peter knows it, and some of the board knows it. Most of the board knows it, where it pertains to FOIA requests and the Finance Department. I get some, and then there's some that have been outstanding, and I have constantly been outstanding. So after being named in a lawsuit, I got very upset, and I said, you wanna know what? Why is it that I'm being named in a lawsuit and it's not even something that I can get my hands on? So I did speak to the attorney and I asked him, is there anything that could be done? And he said, well, I could look into it. And I said, well, can we make Peter in charge? If it's a financial FOIA request, can we have it go to Peter? And then he has to write the letter, the 5-day letter. He has to be responsible for it all. So this way, in the end, if it doesn't get answered in a timely manner, then it doesn't fall on me. Because, and Peter, you know, we've gone round about over this. You're the only department I have this problem with.
And how many do you have outstanding for me right now?
Mr. Martin, you're out of order, and I think this is something which should be discussed by the board members. And I appreciate you want to defend yourself, but that's not something a department head is supposed to be doing necessarily. However, there are allegations that are being made, and the town has the right now to be able to discuss that as a board. Mary Ellen decided to opine, and I believe that you'll be giving you a chance. Let's do this procedurally correct so that we understand where these allegations, where they flow from. There's a comment that you were named in a lawsuit. I'd like to know what lawsuit that was, unless there's a reason which prohibits us and the public from knowing what the lawsuit is.
You got it, you got it. You were given it. It's BMG sued me over FOIL request,
Okay, now,
okay?
I would.
And the town,
Okay.
but I'm named.
BMG, now, I believe, and I'm not certain because this is, again, I believe that a judge ruled on this request. I think that before we decide to do anything, which was the precipitating cause of your concern with Mr. Martin here, that we find out what the judge's decision was regarding this, because there may be in that decision by the judge things which cast a cause of concern, not necessarily on Mr. Martin only, or not at all, but perhaps some of the other board members in terms of their failure to comply and other members' failure to comply. I believe that Mr. Nugent should have a copy of that decision by tomorrow, and it would be wise for us to be able to review that particular case, since that case really has a lot of broad-ranging implications in terms of how it may well affect the future of the town of Monroe financially, that we at least give the town board the consideration to be able to review that court decision and have counsel review on it, and not second guess that Mr. Martin was somehow complicit in exacerbating whatever the failure was, which created this lawsuit that you're referring to. So I think in all fairness to all of us, that we should have time to be able to review that decision.
Council, do we have to wait for this decision before passing this resolution this evening?
Yeah, first of all, I'm not aware of the decision. Mr. Dole's brought that to my attention tonight, so I have not seen the decision.
Right.
Regardless, this is just a general decision being proposed on how the boils are handled, not anything to do with the specific litigation. I believe the suggestion, the motion is based on the fact that the clerk is not having success in getting the records from the controller and is asking him to be designated as the person to respond after she's received it and forwarded it to the requester.
So do I get a chance to respond?
You will,
Before you vote?
You will. I'll do that. I'll make it happen, and I think in fairness, Peter should get a little response before we vote. But I probably was right about order, though. One thing I'll ask Marion, and I don't know the answer to it. I think, Marion, you did make me aware of this a little while ago. I will, you did say that, I remember. But I will say this, a couple things with the foils. Do you know, is there one department, I'm not trying to, if you don't answer it, that's fine. Is there one department where it seems either they get more foils than most, or is there one department that doesn't answer their foils, or is there something you'd rather not discuss in public?
There is the finance department gets a lot of foils. They get the bulk of the foils, yes.
Okay.
Okay. There are some that are answered, but there are ones that go unanswered. There are still ones out there that are sitting there that have never been answered.
Is that true of, and I'm not trying to make excuses, is that true of, is that the case with every department to a certain extent?
I don't have this problem with any other department. And Peter, I'm not picking on you.
Okay.
Please don't take it this way.
No, I'm not trying
It's just that
I'm not trying to
we
form
have
that. I'm trying to solve it, Mary.
And
I know you are.
think
I know you are.
this is the way to solve it.
But is it now?
I know Peter's busy, okay?
Yeah, he is.
But I am too. And I just think in all fairness, when there's a FOIL law that says 5 days you have to respond, and I have up to 20 days to give that answer, and then when I give the answer, I give an answer that says, well, I'm not telling you that there isn't any records, but I'm just telling you that I don't have them. I really just don't think, if we have the records, let's just give them to them, okay, and get it over with.
You've got all the records on BMG that we have in the system.
Now we do, after we got.
I gave them to you in the beginning, and not before you got the court order. The way I understood their issue was, they wanted things that came from, before the creation of the town of Monroe. They wanted all kinds of records of fees paid to all sorts of different consultants and attorneys over a very long history of time. The only thing we've got in a computer goes back to 2007. We printed that out, we gave it to you. You gave it to the attorney, and if I'm remembering this correctly, they were unhappy with the response because they said it was incomplete. It was all we had.
And then there were other documents that they didn't get at that time.
I'd rather not discuss any more of the specifics of that until we review the decision.
All right, I think, listen, I think with,
Well,
it's just a matter of, let me just finish for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me just, it's a matter of trying to rectify this situation, all right? And just, it seems like there's some frustration on Mary Ellen's part and workload issues on Peter's part. So, we have Roberta, she's there as the bookkeeper, maybe she can process the FOIL request.
Helen's been most helpful for it.
Or Helen, one of the two, it doesn't matter, but maybe one of them can process
They
it.
do already.
Well,
Some of them I am directed and told that they have to go to you, Peter, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's what I'm
Here's a
told.
question, Mary Ellen.
And how
You
many
like the
did I
FOIL?
give you today?
You gave me 3 that are outstanding now, but that's because I asked you and I've been on you and on you and on you over them. But we still have outstanding ones that are sitting out there.
Mary Ellen, can I ask you a question? You're the records officer, right?
Yes.
You're the FOIL department, so to speak, and I know that's a heavy burden. Off the bat, I understand how it's gotten. I would ask you this though, and this is not to, don't take it the wrong way, and I have a solution at the end of it. When we hired another clerk in your department, originally part-time, then we went to full-time, and that clerk is doing an excellent job and a very nice representative of the town to the public. That being said, I thought part of that was 2 things. One was to help out with the website and the TMAC website, getting movies up and stuff, all kinds of website stuff that person is good at. Also, I thought that was to take the burden off the town and off you, because you were swamped with so many things with the foils. Now, I don't know why it hasn't gotten better, and I know that the town clerk can't answer certain foils on their own, they don't have that information. Would the board think that if there's such a backlog right now of foils in the finance office, and I'm just throwing this up there for discussion, could we maybe hire someone for, Mary Ellen, 2 or 3 weeks to just do foils? Just like we do this with other departments, maybe we could just get them done.
I appreciate everything you said, but just so you know, Alex does the foils. She does all the paperwork.
Right.
But
and
I am
know she's
Alex's
busy, too.
boss, and Alex is not gonna come up here, or is she going to go down the hall or argue with any of the staff?
No, I know that.
That's my job.
No, I'm saying, is there another person we can put in for 2
I
3 weeks?
really think that this has gotten really blown out. All I'm
Okay.
asking for is, a lot of our come from the finance department. So if I can send the finance department ones down, Peter can answer them, and then this way, when he answers them on time, not on time, next week, next year, 30 years from now, it doesn't matter. I'm out of that loop, because that's where the
Okay,
problem
you've
lies
got the FOIL tracker
With me.
program.
Yes, I do.
So, I'm not aware that you've come and said, from the FOIL tracker program, Peter, here are the 3 foils or 4 foils that you haven't taken care of. You give me individual ones at a time, but is there like can you
There's
get
an acknowledgement
a
letter.
printout?
and
Can you
there's-
get a printout from the FOIL tracker that says these are the ones that are open?
I can, absolutely.
Okay, because you've never really shared that with me, that in that format.
Mary Ellen, the 3 that you got today, how old were they?
Those are the most recent ones they just made the deadline for they're over the 20 days. They're over the 20 days.
It was 4 actually.
Yeah.
I had one of the ones that you got from me today was one that I didn't know that I had. It was back from January. Attorney Nugent had alerted me to the fact that it was there. We had to go back and pull out records to find the answers for it, which we did, and I gave them to you, and I gave that to you today.
May I make a suggestion at this point? Here's the issue with FOIL. If you do not keep specific records for that specific request, you do not have to start making specific records in order to answer that request. So if it goes back 20, 30, 40, 100 years, whatever, and we only keep records for 7 years, then the answer is, we only keep it for 7 years.
The issue,
But I don't think
that's not the issue.
But I keep hearing all sorts of different things. So in
That's
other
not the
words,
issue.
if the finance department is given a FOIL request, they have 5 days to respond. After that, in other words, we have the FOIL request, we are researching it currently. Then they have 20 days, correct?
Yeah, I get the letter, I respond to the person within 5 days telling them, if I feel something can be produced in a week, I give it a week. 20 days seems to be the average to give people, and everybody who puts in a foil will tell you, it's 20 days, that's Mary Ellen's standard days, because I know everybody's busy, and I know it's not top priority on their list. But once that 20 days comes by law, I need to answer them. And you want to know what? A lot of times I don't. I let it float out there and say, okay, waiting and waiting for it to come in. It doesn't come in. So now I'm the one who's getting the brunt of it.
So it's 5 days, then 20, Mary Ellen?
Yes.
5 days for acknowledgement, 20, I have up to 20 to answer.
Do we
Listen,
have
why
a,
don't we make a suggestion, okay? Because we've aired this, everybody understands it's a problem, it's not
Right.
the first time
Right.
this has been brought up. I'll work with Peter for the note, we'll give it 60 days. If I have another issue that I feel I need to address with the board on this, I'll come back to the board. But why don't I give it 60 days with Peter and with FOIA request, and if there becomes another issue, I'll come back to the board.
thank you.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion.
And listen, maybe that foil tracker spreadsheet, Mary Ellen, if you can make that available to the supervisor's office and to us, as well as Peter weekly, and this way we can also all see what's outstanding.
Okay.
But,
Not that I really want to, but I think it's.
I think instead of sending it to the board, why don't you just send it to each department, in other words, a weekly, if you have it open here. You have this open, you have that open once a week, and that's it.
would the contents, Mr. Nugent, of foil tracker be a public record?
Absolutely, right?
Is there any reason?
I haven't seen what a FOIL tracker document looks like.
Would there
It
be
doesn't
any
contain,
prohibition for us to be able to post that so that the public can see how the foils are being tracked? Is there anything that's in them that would be privileged so that the public wouldn't be able to see how the tracking of their FOIL requests go? Because this way, the public can easily go online, see exactly what's going on in town hall, and be able to know what the status
I
of
don't
those
think that's
requests are.
fair.
I invite anybody in the public to come into
No, I
my
know, but if you
office, and I
posted
will
it
do that.
online.
But we're not gonna start
Why?
posting my database online.
Why?
Okay.
These are public records, why not
No.
post the records?
If
Well,
they want,
let's
they
start
can
going
find
to every
each one.
department and doing all their records.
I just think, well,
This-
no,
Anybody in the
no,
public who
no,
would like to come
I'm
into
just
my
saying.
office,
No.
please
No.
come.
no,
I'll show you
because
the
now
whole
you're making
program.
things, as you think it's very simple to start doing that.
It's
You're
posting
gonna make it,
records.
no, you're gonna make it extraordinary complicated for her, and then someone's gonna say, oh, they didn't post this
The
out.
issue,
Just
the issue
send it
wasn't.
to each department, that's it.
The issue isn't the FOIL tracker thing, the issue is getting the financial information that is foiled to the clerk, so the clerk can send it to the person that's foiling it.
That's all.
So, trying to inject something else into it where you're saying, oh, let's put that online, that's ridiculous.
Putting
Let's
something
address
online
the
is
problem,
ridiculous.
let's address the problem and solve it.
Okay,
That's all.
putting
Let's stop
something
looking for
online is
an
ridiculous. Putting public information online is ridiculous.
How about if we,
Injecting that
Why are
into
we
a
putting
conversation
anything
that has
online?
nothing to do with it is.
okay, instead of the
Alright,
filibuster
Mr.
going till 11 at night, why
You're
don't
trying to make
we?
this political, you're trying to make it political. That's all.
No, we're gonna move this along.
Mary Ellen, can they call your office and ask?
Absolutely.
So
And
that way, if you can't get to the office from 8 to 4, you can always call Mary Ellen's office.
you can always call me, and you're more than welcome to come in, and I'll show anybody the program. And just so you know, FOIL is the Freedom of Information. These people that are coming in, they're seeking information. So that's what it's all about. Okay, but they come into my office because it's not online. The town of Monroe is not
If you
completely
put it online, then she can
online.
come up there.
I'm not agreeing with Harley on this, but I'm just saying, Mary Ellen, I put the telephone thing out there for a reason, because the office generally is 8 to 4. Most working people in this community are not in this community from 8 to 4.
The
I
town
think-
clerk's cell phone number,
No,
town
that's what
of
I'm saying.
Monroe's cell phone number
No, but even if they
is
can call you during work hours, that would help.
845-590-1348, and the public is more than welcome to call me at
Harley,
any
is that
time.
good enough, Harley? They can call.
I don't have again, this was brought up because there seems to be an allegation that
Okay.
Mr. Martin isn't doing what he's supposed to be doing, according to Mr. Cardone. And as a result,
No,
They withdrew it.
there's an
I
opposition
think it was
to be
withdrawn.
able to get
All right.
him doing something, which again, does he need help to be able
So
to do?
moving right
And
along,
two,
what do you
bear
have
with me.
next?
Letter G,
Let me just complete this.
T-Mac.
Whether or not
Please continue.
Mr.
No, go go
whether or
into
not as the
The motion was withdrawn, let's continue.
can be burdened with.
I'll
this.
second that motion.
G.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve the ad to hire 6 replacement employees, part-time employees, based on the information and documentation that was provided to us in our last agenda package.
I'll second it, because I want to say that, as Mr. Cardone asked me to do it, I did talk to the management down there, and they were, they're busy like every other management person in the town, but they were happy to comply.
Yeah, no, that was good. He provided excellent documentation. That was great. That's what we were looking for. So I make that motion. I think you second.
I second it, so.
Any other discussion?
No. Call the question?
Aye.
Aye.
Every number-wise, aye.
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 Mr. Dole isn't allowed to vote, if I remember correctly, on anything associated with CMAC.
No, you try the good luck.
No, I think he is, I don't, why not?
Really, let's see.
What about aye?
Why not?
What about, are you allowed to do anything regarding any kind of office furniture
I don't
purchases
know.
anywhere?
We're gonna
Or is that
vote
something
on
we
Go to aye.
don't need to fail to disclose again?
Let's move on to letter
Is that something that the county attorney or somebody else?
And the next,
gonna let it in this-
and the next issue
All right.
is,
I
gentlemen?
just want to know.
Or Monroe,
Okay.
our future comprehensive
Just wanna
plan,
know.
upstate CP.
Listen, I'd like to,
Discussion, please.
I'd like to set workshop session dates. We spoke about this at the last, our last meeting, and I'd like to formalize that now. I have Thursday, 4/20, and Monday, 4/25 as workshop session dates.
You can.
What day?
Public. Thursday the 20th and Monday the 25th.
Well, Monday I can make it, can we make that the 18th?
Monday's not the 25th, Tuesday's the 25th.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Monday the 24th?
Oh, it's Tuesday the 25th. I'm sorry, Tuesday the 25th.
Can we do the 18th instead of the 25th? I have a work commitment on the 25th. I normally don't work Tuesdays, but I have one.
Jerry, you tried to work this around your job. That's why I
know,
did the
I
Thursday.
appreciate
Come
that.
on.
Why,
Well,
Jerry,
no, Wednesday,
you're killing me.
Thursday, I'm busy.
You're killing me on this one.
But can you?
What was
make
it?
one
What was the other
Tuesday?
date you talked about?
Well, the Tuesday before that is the 18th.
I can't do
Spring
it.
break week, I don't think we should do it that week.
Yeah, I think Passover runs right then. All right, so the 25th is no good, so we want to go with the 26th then?
Yeah, that's
26th and
All right, that
27th?
week I'm busy. 25, 26, 27.
You're killing
Can
me.
you do it on Friday, the 28th, or no?
I don't think that's
Okay.
appropriate.
That's a
Okay.
Shabbos for the.
All right, I just asked the question. How about the 18th you don't want to do, how about the 11th? Next Tuesday.
And that's the beginning of Passover. Passover starts the day.
We're back to the 20th and the 25th, Jerry.
What?
The 20th and the 25th?
I won't be able to make them, but,
You can't make the 20th or the 25th?
yeah, normally I do the Wednesday, Thursday, like I told you, but one day this month they had me do Tuesday. I'll try and get out of the Tuesday one. You want to do the 25th?
Done.
I'd like
try
to do
and
the
get out.
20th and the 25th. I mean, listen, basically,
I'll try and get out.
those first two meetings will be for us to get public input from members of the public to find out what their thoughts
All
are.
right, it'll be televised, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So I'll look at it.
Yeah.
All right.
George, will you be here?
20th and 25th, done.
Time.
7 p.m.?
7 is fine.
Is that good?
Fine.
I can't be this one, to me. Time-wise is up to you.
7 p.m. 20th, 25th.
Is there anything on the schedule in the meeting here at this building?
Right now.
Or do you do it?
zoning board.
I think there's something that,
ZBA is the 25th.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Want to make it the 26th? The 25th, the
That's
20th,
it.
26th?
The ethics board's here, but they can always go downstairs.
And
Kick them downstairs.
Okay, downstairs.
But you gotta film them, right?
No.
Oh, no?
That would be unethical.
All right,
I get what he said.
so I'll amend it, the 20th and 26th,
You got it.
okay? 2 public workshop sessions on,
Conservation,
Conservation board's
downstairs.
here on the 20th. You guys can meet downstairs or in the back?
Right, so it's a conflict with Mr.
Conflict, I can't
Right.
be two places at once, no matter where you go.
Well, we're starting at 7. We're starting at 7, so you can come for an hour. We'll let you speak early.
listen, April's a tough month because obviously we have,
What's that?
Holy Week, we gotta
You
get this
only have one
rolling.
night, board, you don't have to go out 2 nights.
Second guess.
Looking out, good looking out.
Thank you, guys.
20th and 26th, that's my motion.
Second.
All question?
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Just say nay to say it.
No. Listen, there's no discussion on North Monroe and the future of the town. Why do this? So,
Moving along, Jay, please.
Jay.
Okay, Jay.
Approve the supervisor to sign the Forklift Technologies agreement. Let's get that one out. Gentlemen, what's your pleasure with this?
I think we wanted to table it till next meeting.
No.
At the last meeting.
For the last meeting, for this meeting.
No, at the last meeting, I said
Yeah.
that we would prepare some description for those of you who aren't completely familiar with what the firm does for the town. That description has been started. I haven't completely reviewed what was supplied, but we told you that we would get it to you for your review before
The end of the
the
contract.
mid-meeting in April, so you still had time to review it,
Yeah.
and then consider the signing of the contract, which is due at the end of the month.
I'll make a motion, we table it.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next,
No,
next one.
this is the,
I thought we,
Can I ask Mike a question?
Yes.
Kay, do you want to, because that's legal stuff, do you want to talk about that in attorney-client?
what's
Okay.
that?
It's basically, Jerry, the reason I tabled that is we just got, and we also have it, a copy of the engineering report on that.
That's the reason you want to.
Yeah, I want to
Okay.
have some time to digest it.
No problem, I just was wondering.
Peter, can you discuss this?
Do you want to know?
You and I
Okay, thank
spoke
you.
about the issue of the war on 12.
Listen, there's no reason to discuss it right now because we have to digest the report.
I got it, I got it,
Peter,
So,
I'm
I
sorry.
got it.
We discussed this at the
I
last
just wanted
meeting.
to know why, that's,
Yeah,
that's all.
What table? We're on
That's fine.
L, T-Mac.
We came, I thought.
Wait, T-Max, Studio 54 and 5, that's to purchase.
No,
No,
that's M, that's table.
That's before that.
L's
L.
Request for usage of the fourth, oh, the T-Mac is becoming very popular, thank you. That's great. See what a little bit of meddling will do in terms of turning things around, but $8.
All right, so we have a request from the all-night graduation committee asking to use the TMAC to prepare to do their sets and props and decorations for the all-night graduation party. There was an email sent from Miss Mary
I
Suntis.
remember.
We all got that in our emails. So what's the board's pleasure on that? And if we could have council opine on
Mr.
it.
Cardone had some concerns. Are you satisfied with the answers that you've gotten? That kind
Yes, the only thing is I would like council to approve the insurance, because they cannot get insurance as a group.
So what are you saying, Tony?
Say
You want the
they
council
have
to,
They'll be covered by us.
to approve insurance.
okay.
But basically, the all-night graduation party committee is, it's a parents group. And when they're using from what I understand in my conversation with the organizers, is that when they're using the school, they're covered by the school's insurance. When they're off-site or doing anything, they're not covered by the school's insurance. And I guess that's what the issue at hand is here.
I had this conversation with the representatives from NYMER last week. They indicated that these kind of issues, they would be covered. If we wanted, we are covered. However, we want additional, that's up to the board. However, we are covered for this. So that we could allow them if we wanted to, and that was the board's pleasure, or we could ask for additional. And as Mr. Cardone had said, the problem is that they can't get blanket insurance for their
Off-site.
For their off-site. However, according to NYMER, we are insured, and therefore we are covered.
Okay.
It's just a question if the board wants to increase the, I'll use the term burden, on this organization, or not.
I'll use the term, why don't we make a motion and vote on it then?
I'll make a motion to be able to allow the school organization to be able to use it in the absence of of the insurance because we're already insured.
For the all-night party?
We go like that.
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay.
Any comments, gentlemen?
The only comment I have is when somebody else uses the theater, are they required to provide insurance?
That would be another issue, Mr.
Because it's-
Cardone, we're dealing with just this, and this is one where if the board wants to.
Okay.
I did not know what I asked, Mr. Dawes. I asked if other organizations or people who use the theater are required to supply insurance.
From what I know, according to my conversations with George, we have insurance certificates that are presented for a whole host of things. So I think we already have a practice of being able to make sure that we require that. George is here if you want to discuss it with him further, either now or in executive, we can. But we already have that policy intact. This is
George,
one.
when other people come and use theater for fourth floor theater, okay, are they required to provide insurance?
Yeah.
They are, okay. Now, I would love for them to use this theater, but my main concern is you have people coming in here using equipment to build.
They're not any kind of power equipment, it's all gonna be cardboard and glue and stuff.
Oh, okay, that's not what I was
Well,
initially
that's
told.
what they told me now.
No power tools?
No power tools?
Sawzalls or
No,
anything like
no,
that?
I couldn't have that.
Okay.
We have other things going on besides the movies.
Well, listen, so, I mean, if that's the case, and Mr. Doles can provide us with an email from NYMER stating that they are covered, I have no problem with it.
Okay, that seems reasonable.
All right.
Again, it was based on the conversation we had. It was quite a lengthy one, and we tried to look at all the different angles so that we minimize the amount of liability and exposure for the town, but at the same time, especially what George had mentioned, that we've done it on a regular basis, that are there exceptions? Absolutely. Those exceptions don't necessarily do not mean that we're not covered. It's just a question of whether or not the town requires to have in addition.
I get
In this
it,
case,
yeah.
it appears as though the
It's a good
town.
question.
So you can make a phone call and get it done then?
And yes, I will supply a letter from
All right.
NYMER. I don't have a problem there.
So-
When are they scheduled to start now?
Now,
Now?
I believe so. They were looking to
Okay.
do it as soon as possible.
All right,
Okay.
let's call.
Aye.
Any question? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Well done.
This is for the purchase of additional equipment for Studio 4 and 5 that's been tabled.
That was tabled.
Okay. Here we go.
Can I ask if it's gonna be tabled next month?
This is what that's what we're here for, an item in, we're here for this. This is to set the public hearing for the continuing date to consider revising and extending the moratorium laws, number 1, 2, and 4 of 2016, and local law of 2017. Again, this is to revise and extend.
I brought this to the board's attention because the night that you gentlemen set this public hearing for April 17th at 7 PM, no bell went off till I got back into the office the next day and realized that there is no town board meeting that night, and the reason being is it is the last night of Passover, and when doing the town board calendar at the beginning of the year, that's why nothing was put on the 17th. I sent you all an email and just asked you, do you want to keep it on the 17th, or do you want to change it? If you want to change it, I will put a public notice in the newspaper and make sure with Brian that everything is done legally. So I just posed this question to you guys, if you still wanted to keep it on the 17th.
I'll make a motion to amend it, that we hold it on the 24th, which is our regular town board meeting at, do we have one at 7:15 already?
Yeah.
So 6:45?
It'll be more than 15 minutes.
No, well, it's a half hour, but it's, you know. Can I make it 6:30? I'll make it
We need a
6:30.
second for discussion.
What are you making it, 6:30?
I'll make it 6:30, yeah.
I'll second it.
Discussion, okay.
Little discussion.
And
I'm not against this meeting, but what I'm gonna ask you is, I will. No, I'm not against that. My point is this, and it's going back a little bit to one of my issues, and I'm not saying Mike or anyone else who says this is wrong. When you're looking at sort of religious observations, and I can appreciate that. But when you have months with multiple things, I just think you gotta realize we're not a religious organization, we're a secular organization, we're government. And although you gotta respect especially the major holidays, I just think that sometimes when you have issues that you gotta get done, or you want to have your fifth charming councilman at the meeting, that we should maybe not look always at the certain religious things. Something to think about, but I get where you're coming from. I'm not against this change. It's just I think you gotta be real careful to be, you're doing the right thing, Mike, you're being sensitive to that issue, and I get it. It's just sometimes I think, unless it's one of the major dates of something, maybe we could, in the future boards, look at it as a secular thing more than, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. But all right, I'm with you on this one.
I understand what you're saying, I just, with all the other litigation and things we have out there, I figure this is an easy one to avoid, what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying. Thank you. I'm with you on it.
So not that I don't want the charming fit.
I'll send a hologram.
Well, that'd be great.
Okay, Mr. McGinn, are you saying matters of litigation, are they related to issues of religion? Or
No, I'm just saying in
something?
general, Mr. Knowles,
Okay.
let's not.
No, I'm just going to
It's not
tell
be
you,
complicated,
because there
just-
may be, because there may be court cases which actually reflect what you're saying. And if those court
There very
cases-
well may be.
Right,
I
and
don't
those
wanna
court
discuss that
cases,
now anyway.
those court cases, if there are court cases, is public information. So there's no reason for the public not to know exactly what you're referring to.
Mr. Dole,
Wait,
are you saying a what-if scenario now? Because
Mr.
we can do what-if scenarios all day. Why don't we vote on this?
Are you saying?
My motion is
No, you said if, and I'm saying.
Monday,
we
March
vote on it
24th,
if.
6:30.
There are court cases dealing with civil rights, religious issues that are before this board, and they're taking place right now down in federal court, down in Westchester. That is not a secret. So if is not a question. The
You
fact
said
that.
if, that's all I'm saying.
So it is not if. You are aware of these. We spoke.
All I am saying is.
You are aware, we all
Are we
have.
moving,
We have, no, bear with me, you.
No.
The
What
motion
is on the
is made,
table now?
the motion is made, if the supervisor is not going to call the order, then I'll say, let the.
We are gonna call it, but it's for the purpose of discussion.
No.
There's no discussion on that, the
You just
discussion is
said
on the
if.
dates.
Excuse me.
So I'm just
Discussion is on the
saying,
dates.
are we moving this to the 24th?
Mr. Nugent,
Are we moving
do we
this?
this is for discussion, am I correct? There was a motion?
Date and time.
Yeah, discussion on the date and time,
Well, I brought
not on
another
pending
issue.
litigation.
I
We
brought
didn't
the
bring up
issue.
the pending
Harley, I
litigation, you
wasn't.
did.
Harley.
You
I
brought
brought
it up. I brought that up to Mr.
Harley, me and Mike were having a discussion about something.
He brought up the pending
But we weren't
litigation,
trying
I
to
didn't.
go off on a tangent.
Okay.
There wasn't a tangent, there was a direct reference.
It wasn't
to
a
his
tangent,
comment
it was a
about
filibuster.
Litigation.
So, can we move this?
No, the second part,
No.
is I will finish this up, and that is, my opposition to this remains. These should be revising two separate, public hearings. One to revise, one to extend. Just like we did with the accessory apartment law, we did one to repeal, that was voted down, 3-2, and we did one to amend, that was voted 3-2
What are we
to
talking about
amend.
on
I'm
this?
separating.
We're separated, my concern
Oh.
is.
There's no reason to separate it, listen,
You say no.
my
But
motion is out there,
Pushing
call it to question. If you want to, listen, if you want to call, if you want to try another motion,
He wants to
you're
push it
welcome to do the motion after you call my
Buddies
question.
will get what they want.
Mr. Doles,
Do it again.
Mr. Doles,
Listen, I didn't say.
call it to question. If you're not going to call it to question,
Aye.
aye.
No.
Very
Okay,
good.
can I bring up one topic according to what Harley was saying? In that continuation date, Mike, when we bring that to vote, is there an option there, considering, I did hear something of what Harley was saying, revising and extending? So we'll be voting two separate things?
No.
In other words, let's say a group of councilmen doesn't want to revise it and just wants to extend it.
Yes,
Or let's say-
it's gonna
can I
be
just ask
whatever
the
revised
question?
separate.
Can I just ask the question, Harley?
Okay.
Well, would we be able then to separate, at the meeting itself, I'm not talking about right now, to say, well, I agree with revising, and then maybe someone else, we'll see who the majority is. And then someone else would say extend it, or maybe like, someone might say, hey, and I think that's something to consider. Let's just do away with the moratorium, because at this point, it's just, might be a shell of itself anyway.
Listen,
So that's something you talk about then?
The people on this board are willing to reshape any way they want.
Okay.
At the end of the
Okay.
day, well,
Thank you.
whatever comes out, comes out.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, on the new business, we have, under executive, that was Board of Ethics that we met. Discussion on the town website, I know that Mary Ellen, the only.
Can you get closer to the
Yeah.
mic?
There's discussion on trying to make this look a little bit more user-friendly, or we've all looked at Walk Hill as being emblematic of a good and easily navigable website design. It is also the same software supplier that we use, which is BAS. So I think it's just a question of whether or not the board would like to do it and how much it would cost. Mary Ellen, I'll let you.
Yeah, and it's not that I don't like our website, I love our website, but it's not what our vision was for that, is not where we're at today. When we put that together, we had a vision for it to be used a different way. Unfortunately, it's not gonna happen that way, so Alex, my deputy, did some research, and she had spoke to me back, I have here, it's back in October, because this is when I got the paperwork from BAS, about possibly looking into Walk Hills, and doing ours with Walk Hills. It's very friendly, user-friendly. It has a lot, same things we have on our site, it's just set up differently. Okay, but same documents, everything that's there.
Our site
You can
isn't,
scroll.
our site isn't user-friendly, that's what it comes
Well,
down to.
yeah, it's not user-friendly, it's not the way we had envisioned for it to be.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the software company, but back when we put this together, we were going in a different direction, and it's not, we didn't go that way. Okay, so, this is from back in October to put our website to the way Walk Hills looked. I did get a quote, and it would cost $4,800.
To do all the work?
Everything. Done, within 30 days.
I'll make a motion that we approve that spending, that's within your budget.
I don't know,
No.
no.
Maybe not.
Peter, do we have anything in my my
Well,
contractuals
Well,
there?
first of all, I don't think that's something that comes out of the town clerk's budget. I believe that's from our 1480 line.
So is there anything in the 1480 line?
And I'm gonna take a look.
So, Mary Ellen, when you and Alex looked at Walk Hill, you were pleased?
Oh, yeah, and I invite anybody to go to the Walk Hill website and look at it.
Okay.
I think you would be pleased, and
Good.
being very friendly with the Walk Hill town clerk, they have a wonderful response on it.
Right.
What are you bringing in, like the same, like web, first web designer, or?
It's the same company.
Oh, okay.
Walk Hill uses BAS also.
Can we, I'd like to take a look at it before we vote on it.
Absolutely, we bring it up, not a problem, but I think you'll find it, you'll like it.
All right.
So,
Okay, so we'll table that.
Table it for now?
Yep.
Okay, the next one is highway authorization to dispose of portable screen plant machine and sell it for its metal value. There are 3 issues here. Item D also to sell the trailer for metal value, and then there's a third issue that's not in, and I would ask the board to consider at least hearing Mr. Chaney out. So John, Highway Department Superintendent, thank you for the wait, and turn it over to you.
Okay, just the 2 things, there wasn't supposed to be sale on the screen plant and the trailer sale. The trailer actually was acquired, if I'm not mistaken, by when the Faber Farm was acquired by the town. That's been down at the highway garage since then. It's an old trailer.
Travel trailer.
It's an old travel trailer. There is no monetary value in that. It would cost me more man-hours to actually get all the wood and rubber off it before you even got any scrap metal from it than it's worth. So that's it.
It looks cool, but it's.
Basically, we're looking to crush the machine up and put it in a dumpster and get rid of it. Scrap, not even scrap, it says, because I would have to separate all the wood, you'd have to almost renovate it, yeah. So it's not worth it, it really is not, it's not worth it.
Let me ask you a question, is there any kind of collector on eBay that would wanna buy something like that? I'm not even trying to, I'm
A lot of
serious.
people go for that thing.
Yeah.
It is kinda cool looking.
Listen.
No, I'm not being a wise guy. If you look at it, it's pretty wild.
It's in pretty bad shape, but if anybody needs any parts or anything off it before I scrap it, I'll give them a couple weeks to come down and get stuff.
And if they want
That'd be awesome. If they want it,
give us a minimal amount. And take
if
it.
if you want a minimal amount for it, that's fine as well. I don't think we want to really waste our time putting it on the Auctions International or anything like that. It's just,
No.
I just don't see any monetary value in it.
You ever see those cable shows where people go around and buy crazy stuff?
Yeah, it was one of them, was it a Streamline or something like that? It might be something worthwhile looking into.
All right, thanks, John.
Yeah.
And as well as even the screen and plant too. That was a 1960 model, I bet. And it's in the Cornwall Highway Department yard now. That was loaned to them many years ago. And
I guess they wanted to give it back?
no, he actually wanted to get rid of it or something. He said, dude, it's falling apart in here, and I don't understand, nobody's ever called me about it. I said, I didn't even know it was there. So, same thing, no monetary value on that, just cut it up and then get it in the dump and get it out of there.
I'll make a motion.
Is that in the fixed asset report, that screen?
That probably is not. At least on my report, or on my equipment reports, it probably is
We're not
not.
paying insurance on it.
That's in the can't be fixed asset.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion on the highway authorization to dispose of portable screen, plant, machine, and sell for its metal value.
A second.
Second.
All right. I'll make a motion. Authorize the highway department, highway superintendent to sell the trailer he pointed out to us from the Favor Farm for metal value.
No sale on that, Jerry.
Oh, you're just gonna dispose of it?
Dispose.
I'm sorry, to dispose of the said trailer.
Second that.
Aye.
Aye.
Call the question. Aye.
What's your third one? You had a presentation, John?
Not really a presentation, guys. As everybody knows, Councilman Cardone, myself, we was able to secure a grant from Senator Larkin. The grant was worth $275,000. Our old sweeper basically burnt up on us. We got $74,500 for that. At this time, I ended up speccing out 3 different styles of machines and getting quotes on 3 different styles of machines. The build on the machine will be approximately 4 months. Okay, so once we order it, it's going to be about a 4-month build on it. Right now, the grant is in the 1 to 3 month away stage. So we're going to either have a check cut to us within a month or within 3 months. So I'd like at least authorization to be able to start the build process. I have the bid process, and I picked Elgin Sweeper.
You want to place an order?
And I want to place the order for the $291,949. $291,949.
We got the insurance money on the burnt?
The insurance money.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry about
We got
that.
70,000 plus to put down on that, we started.
We don't even have to put nothing down on this at this point.
All right.
Once this is built, we gotta pay for it.
You're gonna have different people bid on building it?
No, it's all
It's all done.
done. I have 3 different bids here, let me just go through
That's
this.
what the question was.
Okay, I got a bid on the Elgin, which was $291,949. I looked at the Johnson sweeper as well, and that's what burnt up on us. That was at really low, $222,388, but that was basically bare bones. Okay, that was, once I started adding stuff, we would have started coming up towards that as well. And the Timco was at $261,555. I wasn't too happy with that product. Johnson, I like the Johnson sweeper. I just was a little concerned of a 10-year-old machine blowing up like that and not having guys come down and wonder why. That kind of concerned me a little.
Customer service.
Customer service. And with the Elgin, he's located in New Jersey, 45-minute ride away. He's got 24-hour parts, at least 7 days a week service.
What type of warranty?
The warranty, we can go through that. Usually trucks like this, a year maximum, if I'm not mistaken. Peter probably has an idea. Yeah, probably a year maximum.
Can I just ask, happen to be made in the USA?
I
Shipping it.
I believe Elgin actually is, to be honest with you.
I'd just like to try, if we can, to keep it that way as much as possible.
Oh, I would love to as well, but Elgin, I'm not gonna, I don't see no USA stamps on here, but I'm 90% sure they are made in the USA.
It's an American truck chassis, right?
Yes, it is.
So it's built here.
Yes, it is.
Built here, right?
The chassis is built here and then they put everything on, so. They have to custom make it at their factory, but it's put on either a Freightliner or a Ford, well, not Ford anymore, Freightliner.
You can get Freightliner, there's a couple different chassis you can buy for
Freightliner,
particular
Volvo, or
machine.
whatever, but
Yeah.
you have the basic chassis. That's American, plus they build it here.
Oh,
Also
okay.
American.
All right,
Yeah.
I just always like to ask.
So that's basically what I need to get started here, is at least board approval, I believe.
Does this commit us definitely to that, or do we still have?
Once, we'll sign the contracts, I'll call him up tomorrow, we'll sign contracts, and get it going.
Well, listen, I think we have to defer to your expertise on this matter, and you know, I don't know, Jack, about sweepers, and I know you do, because you.
Well, I know they're not supposed to burn up on us.
Yeah, I know they're not supposed to burn up on us, and that's not a good thing.
But John, what was the cause of them burning up?
I honestly don't know. The rear engine, there's two engines on the sweeper. One runs the actual drivetrain of the machine, and one runs the actual sucking capacity of the machine. The rear engine of that machine basically, it blew up, it exploded on the machine.
Well, like I said, I'll defer to your expertise on this, and I'll make a motion that, the board authorize you to go forward and place the order for the
Elgin sweeper at $291,949.
I'll second that.
For discussion.
I also defer to your knowledge on sweepers, but considering that's the highest price model, and considering, I'm just saying, is there any way you could check, see where that thing's made? Because I think that's very important today.
No, I'll get back to you on where it's made, but I'd like to at least start the process now. As long as, if you want to amend your amendment saying it's a, United States machine or whatever.
Would anyone like to amend it? Because I think it's important in today's times with all the people, if you've seen the wave throughout the country today, as long as we were talking about, not political, but the president has made a big statement about that, which I happen to agree with him on. And I think we should try and do American made. I
agree with that, Jerry, as well, but this is the best product, and I gotta tell you right now, it's the closest product to our area, to where when we have a problem, if hopefully we have no problems with the machine. But with being located where it's located, and I know Johnson's, you'd be lucky to get a mechanic from local, a lot of it's upstate, and I'm talking 6 hours upstate. So this is one of the closer areas and closer vendors that I know that's gonna be able to work on this machine at least.
I'll vote yes on it, but if you could humor me and just find.
I will definitely look into it for you.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
So we're voting on it?
Now, I have a concern, because again, we're going with the highest bidder, and there are other options. I understand that you take concern with the other vendor. However, the other vendor hasn't been proven to be negligent in any way in terms of their product.
I never said he was negligent.
No, I understand that. However, you mentioned that they weren't responsive to the town when the incident occurred. The question to me would be, are they responsible, and to what extent? Because there is a $70,000 difference in the price. That's a major difference. Now, we don't know whether or not, if you put on all the bells and whistles that that are equal to this company, Elgin, what the price would be, but we have an obligation to make sure that we go with the lowest qualified bid. And is this the lowest qualified bid? I'm just...
No, the obligation is the most responsible bid.
Most responsible, and this is the most responsible bid that I can say to you gentlemen right now. Between Timco, Johnson, and Elgin, this is the most responsible bid that I'm looking at.
And again, this is being bought off the.
And this is not causing.
The surplus being picked up by the insurance settlement on the other sweeper.
Correct.
There was a.
What was
Temco was the lowest, or Johnson was the lowest?
Johnson is the lowest as of right now.
Okay.
Johnson would definitely go up, and I would say by, in the $40,000 to $50,000 range, once you add some more bells and whistles to it.
And Elgin has them already?
This is the top of the line, this is it, this has got everything that the town needs to do its job properly.
Do you need to do this tonight, or can you wait?
I would like to get this process started, Jerry, to be honest with you.
You're still renting one, right? That's all.
I could, I would've been sweeping today if I could.
Yeah.
With the MS4 program and everything else like that we're involved in, I mean, we have to have a sweeper that's running. And if I start running the machine on a weekly basis, it's gonna get expensive quite quickly.
John, just so you know, when you go into, Elgin is a subsidiary of Federal Signal Corporation. So they have manufacturing, they have 10 manufacturing places around the world.
Okay.
And they're listing Elgin as a manufacturing place in Elgin, Illinois, so.
Elgin, Illinois.
Yeah, it's Illinois. It's Illinois, it's the same location as John Deere, which is the NBC.
Oh, really? Okay, that's good enough.
I'll just ask the question one time, because I get kind of caught up on this issue. Could we change the motion to say assuming it's made in America, and then if not, we could change it? I think it's really important for government money to be spent, from the government, U.S. taxpayer to be spent in U.S. products. I mean, it's one of our bigger purchases we make in this town. We don't buy these things every day. And I know Tony and John worked hard with the Senator Larkin again. I appreciate it.
He just said it's made in Illinois.
Critically important. I think Senator Larkin would agree. Can I explain why? Senator Larkin right now is in the process. He's asking the public for their input, and I know the way Senator Larkin is a veteran and everything, U.S. veteran, combat veteran. He wants people to know that there's something at the union, one of the local unions contacted me the other day. There is something in the New York State budget that's going to be put forward shortly, we hope. And there's something in it to support Buy American legislation to the New York State budget, which has been a little lacking in the last decade or two from when it used to be. It costs a little more money, and the legislators know it, but they should feel the pulse of the country. And if you want to contact State Senator Bill Larkin and encourage him to encourage the other senators as well, state senators in Albany, 888-833-7428. It'll first put you in touch with the local union, which immediately transfers you to State Senator Bill Larkin's office, and a local office actually, and he will then take your vote and be able to tell people in Albany how much support he's getting from the local people to support this Buy American legislation in Albany. And this is our local state senator, decades and decades of service to our community.
All right,
And I think we should hold off, or at least stipulate that for this, and then maybe make a change if we have to, because this is a burning issue right now.
I think we can make it as a stipulation.
Can we?
Well, I'll amend it that it's, as long as it's made in the US.
Thank you, Mike.
All right?
Right?
Thank you, Mike.
It's
Okay with that?
I'll second the discussion because I'm going to refer to again, there's a federal policy which is already in place regarding American-made products. However, that being said, New York State, Governor Cuomo, and I believe that has a tremendous amount of support by the Assembly and by the state legislature, introduced in January bills to Buy American. And in this case, it's that, because it's very difficult, because we already tried this once before with John Deere and some other companies, because some of the products, they're just not all American made. It's almost impossible. So in the case of and we can piggyback off type of legislation, that the governor and both the Assembly and the state Senate has introduced, that 60%, at least 60% of the product needs to be American made. I don't know if we're going to be able to get 100% American made.
Let's at least try, and then we'll work with what we can, all right?
What about 60%? Because at least
Yeah, I mean, I'm not calling Senator Larkin, so we'll talk about it, but at
It's
least.
in Illinois, I think we're good to go with that, so
Yeah.
I made the motion.
Yeah.
We made the
Seconded.
motion.
Aye.
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 What's next?
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, John, I wasn't trying to be difficult.
No. Could I borrow you for 1 second? My liaison, yeah.
Yeah.
This is a resolution for Bald Hill, was already done. It approves the resolution consenting the formation of the Bald Hill Estates Water Transportation corporation. The reason is that my secretary didn't have it for whatever reason, so she just wanted to make sure that it was memorialized so that I could sign off on it, and I will. I know that the town board passed it, and therefore it needs to be signed, and obviously I will sign it. I just wanted to inform the board accordingly. That being said, we move to the next part of the town board meeting, and that is the part 2, privilege of the floor. And if there's anyone here that would like to speak, Mr. Goldston, please do. And hopefully the board will be able to.
This is really going to be quick. Mike Goldstein. Have a housekeeping problem.
Microphone.
Whoops. There's a housekeeping problem. A couple of weeks back, you voted that you would change what we could talk about to anything. But yet, first paragraph, first sentence, this is an opportunity for members of the public to raise concerns before the board. That should be period, because it still says that are on the agenda. You voted against that, so that's just a housekeeping thing that should be done. And also, tonight, you proved that the last sentence, the board does not take action on matters raised during this time, but will set the matter over to the next meeting. Which way do you want to go on that? Tonight, we got answers. This says you don't give answers. So you got to decide what you want to do on that one too.
Thank you, Mr. Goldston. Anyone else?
Yeah, Dan Burke again. Just a few, one footnote, as you're looking at lighting up the town, remember we got the solar farm hopefully coming in September. So that financial factor you take into account as you evaluate. A point on language. A few weeks ago, talking about how the town handle employees, I used the word, good night, John.
Good night.
I used the word despicable. I apologize for that. I won't use that word again. I was once called despicable by a fellow board member, but I won't use that again. And then a couple weeks later, I used the word, when speaking about the dog shelter being outsourced, I used the word nefarious. And after I finished speaking, the supervisor took exception to that. So I think that's fairly mild, but I'll give that some consideration. And then speaker tonight used the word terrorized. Now, everybody's familiar with what terror is. I mean, it happens in St. Petersburg, in London, in Orlando. That's a serious word. I don't think it should be used in this kind of a context here. Matter of fact, when I saw the state police coming in, I thought maybe Homeland Security had sent them. So, so anyway, and this is a town board meeting. This is the town government. There should be a standard here. We're experiencing invasion of social media, and everybody knows what goes on in social media. There's no standards. There's no respect. Anybody says anything about anybody, whether it's true, false, or anything. Now, we've had examples of someone coming in here accusing somebody of pornography. Just tonight, somebody wanted to say something about something that he had read on Twitter. You don't have to read Twitter. You don't have to sign up for it. I think we should make every effort to keep the low standards that are on social media from infecting this room. What happens on social media should stay on social media. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Mary Bingham.
Just a quick comments on lighting. Years ago when Jimmy Rogers was on the town board, there was a program that O&R had that said you can get one, I think it was a high sodium light. I think you should go back and talk to O&R and see what programs they have available, because that was a free upgrade for the town, I believe, going back years ago. You
get 2 free upgrades.
2.
2 or 3 some years.
So if it's 2 or free upgrades, I think somebody should go back to O&R. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary. Is there anyone else? Comments, board members?
I can't resist. I just say one thing with Dan. I didn't really get a chance to hear Mike's, I'm sorry. Dan, I do agree with you that sometimes, I guess people get heated and board members and then the public alike use some words they probably regret afterwards. I think we should all try and keep that to an absolute minimum. Human nature does sometimes get away from us and we can say something we probably normally wouldn't. But as far as the social media thing, I do happen to agree with both you and Mr. Allegro and Harley all together in a way. You know, there is freedom of speech. There is also the fact that when we're all together in this, we're all in the same community, we're all neighbors, one way or the other. And also board members who are elected officials. I think when we do use social media, aside from just the board meetings, but when we're using social media, try and, you know, tone down, you know, certain language, and especially certain, you know, rhetoric or something that, you know, I don't agree with John using that language, terrorize the way he did. I think that was a problem. And I guess he said threaten. I didn't hear all of it at once. But, you know, he has a right to be upset. But when you start throwing the word terrorize around in today's world, as Dan said, it can be a little, first of all, it's highly insulting. Second of all, get people kind of nervous. And you do have the right to turn off your computer or not to read these Twitter things on any account. And if you feel that it's just a negatory thing where it's all negative and rotten gossip and rumors and slandering, you know, don't buy into it and don't waste your time. I honestly don't know where people find the time to follow these things so closely. So I'm sort of against making rules on the town board with the Twitter or all that stuff because of freedom of speech issues. You don't give that up when you get elected. But I think you gotta be careful how you use your rights. But I think that trying to hamper certain people's rights, and then, you know, I've been in this town a long time, I've been on the board a while. I would say it's kind of ironic when people get up and talk about other people's use of the internet, when for years they were highly associated with a group, in fact, some would say a leader of a group, that constantly used the internet to besmirch, disparage, criticize and really go after people on a personal level, even recently. And whether the person was recently widowed and disparaged because his economic situation changed, or whether someone that felt they were mistreated or changed their mind and don't agree with a certain group anymore or whatever, then they get totally ripped apart. It's called NPR, you can look it up on the computer, some of the positive things with public radio. Which hopefully doesn't get defunded. You can look that up, and NPR had a series about shaming, internet shaming. And it's a real phenomenon. Now, we've had people in this society that have, in this area even, have killed themselves over being brought out and put on public display in their college or in their community and labeled as some name, or maybe their race, creed, color, religion, or sexual identity was put out there against their will, or maybe in an embarrassing moment. And they went after them and their family, and the people responded sometimes you know, in a tragic way. So we should all kind of tamper this down and realize, you know, one way or the other, people in this community are going to live, you're going to have your life, you're going to go to your job, pay your taxes, and, you know, have your amusements, hopefully. It's not worth getting into all this. So please, any which side, you know, please don't go after people in such a personal and nasty way. It's really not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not going to change their mind. You know, I'm a certain way of looking at things, and I do sometimes argue with other members of the board, but sometimes we do change each other's mind because we talk. But if you get into this nastiness on the internet and bring it here, it's only going to lead to, you know, more disagreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Any other board member? I'll try to address this and do this quickly in the format of the email that I sent out to the county legislators. In the opening of it, and this is really because with Mr. Allegro's concern. I titled it, President Bush and Michelle Obama Can Overcome Differences, Why Not in Monroe? And it was a simple photograph. It was a photograph of George Bush and Michelle Obama together. Here are people, two unlikely friends. But it's a wonderful photo of two people, tremendous differences politically in so many different ways. But they have a really loving, embracing, and warm relationship. And I looked and I said, wait, you know, here it is. If they can do it, why can't we here? And I penned a letter to the county legislature with, again, for some reason, it appears as though it's being considered as threatening or intimidating or whatever, and it was really simple. And that, please see the above photo. This is a message of one of that many Americans will embrace. And it's just very short. As new residencies take root at breakneck speed throughout Monroe and Woodbury, changes happen before our very eyes. Schools are being built to accommodate the overflow, and the mass exodus.
Mr. Doles, is this in response to the public comment that
Yes,
was just
it is.
made?
It is.
It isn't. I don't recall that any of these
It
three
is.
gentlemen's
And you're
comments
interrupting.
had anything to do with what you were just saying just now.
Okay. It has to-
And part of what we're supposed to be doing,
All right.
if we're gonna
So
respond, is
I will
respond.
try to continue. Already we will see the issues, need for new water policies to adjust to the massive demands. And Mr. Cardone, no, you can continue to do this, let him please. Please let the record show that Mr. Cardone got up and left, even though we do have matters, legal matters, and the matters in executive session. Mr. Cardone got up and he left without reason. So, the questions are, who will provide the busing and the additional educational services? Who will supply water? Who will supply sewer? Who will supply the future that the future residents of Monroe and KJ deserve? And this is the part, finding a solution. Growth is Monroe's problem. Now, who will supply the solution? I will post on Monday's agenda, this is exactly what was discussed, a request for a series of open meetings to discuss with all the stakeholders in Monroe's future. I propose a series of 4 open meetings beginning in May. Each of the forums will deal with the most important for consideration: sewer and water, and schools, and how to maintain the integrity of both the Monroe, Woodbury, and the KJ school district. None of us want another East Ramapo. Redistribution of the voter base and its impact on local and school elections. Balancing the books between the town of Monroe's A fund and the new town of North Monroe, or whatever name they choose. The future status of lawsuits, and what will the final size. This is the key issue. Let's do everything that we can agree on what's best. And in it, there's a simple part of it, and it was an invitation so that United Monroe and Preserve Hudson Valley, they would be the moderators, not Harley Doles. I don't know where on earth Mr. Allegro got this idea, it was Harley Doles. I make a specific plea to allow a non-for-profit Preserve Hudson Valley to be the moderator, and perhaps, and including the Photo News, the Times Charlotte Record, or another media source. So here we are trying to find a way to bring in different political parties, different kind of non-for-profits, to enjoy the entire community, to be able to bring to the public and not just try to relegate it or delegate it to the folks up in Goshen. And these SOBs haven't been here in 3 years. In 3 years, ladies and gentlemen, the county legislatures, with the exception of Myrna Kenneth, have not been here.
Mr. Doles,
Nobody, none of the county legislators have come to see exactly how we suffer and the impact of what all of this annexation and the response to the annexation has cost. I just wanted to,
No, you're right.
to correct,
No, you're right.
for the record, the need to discuss what is happening in this town. Mr. Cardone can talk about hours about Mr. Martin's lack or not lack of being able to.
Mr. Doles,
now-
all right, I'm gonna make a motion, we go to executive session. I'll second.
So
Call the
therefore,
question.
Mr. McGinn refuses to talk about it.